Someone make it make sense.
Probably a couple.
Hello, did everyone get portaled over? So by the way, while I'm thinking about it, I wanted to make a note regarding the Lori Vallow jurors. Okay, so in case you're wondering why we haven't covered the juror interviews and whatnot yet, here's why. I had a feeling when immediately after the verdict, there were several jurors that was speaking to the media, like as they were leaving. I had a feeling, and I probably saw this as much, but I just don't remember for sure. I had a feeling that there was going to be subsequent interviews, right? That would be longer, where they went with jurors maybe one-on-one or maybe as a group. I had a feeling that this was a jury that would be really likely to speak out. And so that's why I've been waiting. And sure enough, I just saw, it just got posted from Nate Eaton here that he did a one-on-one interview with a juror that, for like an hour or whatever. So anyway, we will cover that. Probably tomorrow, but also guys, Lori Vallow gave an interview to Arizona True Crime about her thoughts on the verdict. And it's like 45 minutes long. And she's in her orange jumpsuit and they go and interview her. And now they interviewed her right before the trial. That was one of the ones I tried to play. And then I got like the thing where they take your stream down type of thing happening or whatever. So we couldn't watch that. It's the same lady. So she was like, I interviewed you 3.5 weeks ago and now we're back. And it's like asking her thoughts on the verdict. And I only watched a few seconds of it. Of course, it's fascinating as fuck. But here's the thing. Now that we've learned how to watch shit in the Discord, we can watch that in the Discord because, again, I can't share that on YouTube. So what we will do, if people are still here at the end of this, what we'll do is we'll go in the Discord and we can watch Lori's interview about her thoughts on the verdict if we want to. So Heather, oh my God, Twiz, don't be blocking people. Fuck's sake. So anyway, okay. But yeah, I would say probably tomorrow we'll do a Lori live stream where we watch the juror interviews. And again, we'll also do another BK. But okay, at first I have a question, but we kind of need people to vote. Because my question is this, which feed do y'all want to use? Now, Law and Crime's done a new thing, apparently, like, as y'all can see, right? They got a new thing going. So the question is, there's twofold, right? So this is a different view, obviously, where you can see Karen, I think, like the whole time. Not sure how that's happening. I guess the defense was fine with it. I don't know. We'll find out. It's possible that they didn't know this was going on, and now they're going to be like, what the fuck? And we'll find out. I have no idea. This is brand new to me, right? Will this be happening tomorrow? We'll find out. But so it's twofold. Do we want this view, right? Or do we want the standard, what we're used to type thing, right? But also the sound. So what I wanted to ask you guys is twofold, right? First of all, does one have better sound than the other? And second of all, do you want to watch this new view here? And now what I will say is that this one is, I always get a little nervous when one stream is significantly longer than another because of the fact that Court TV the other day cut the stream early and missed shit. So Court TV's stream here is like significantly shorter. And I'm like, I don't know. It makes me a little nervous, right? Like, did they miss something? So I don't know. But let's test it out. So here's the Law and Crime. We're just going to listen to a snippet of each of them. And then you guys can tell me which one has better sound or if they're the same, or if you have a preference for the camera. Okay. So just the tip. Sorry.
You'd either move the microphone down a little bit or speak up, or maybe a combination of both, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so now you have an idea for the sound, and this is going to be the view on her the whole time as well as the witness. Now let me go back to Court TV and try to find like the same spot, and we can see how the sound compares.
Or speak up, or maybe a combination of both, please. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Could I ask you how old you are?
48.
Let me go back to the other one. I have no idea, Twiz. Maybe did they not get portaled over, maybe? Seems like. I mean, it seems like they were going to, I don't know. Did you get portaled over?
Could I ask you how old you are?
48.
Where do you live?
Canton, Mass.
Interesting. The sound is very different, at least what it sounds like to me.
Where do you live?
Canton, Mass.
How long have you lived in Canton for?
Me and my wife have lived there for 20 years.
Let me go back to the other one. Interesting. Can you guys tell a difference?
How long have you lived in Canton for?
Me and my wife have lived there.
I think the sound is slightly better on Court TV. On my end, anyway. Oh, you manually clicked. So they didn't get shuttled over. That sucks. Freaking YouTube, man. Didn't work. Guys, we're here. They can't hear me. So I think the sound is better on Court TV. So Twiz, since you're here, we're glad you're here. Do you have a preference, like, for which stream? Now, again, I don't know why the other one is shorter. It makes me a little bit nervous. I mean, I don't think they just like cut out the lunch break or whatever. Oh, they have some analysis at the end. That might be why. That might be why. That might be why. So assuming that Court TV isn't missing any of the day, right? Do you have a preference, Twiz, or anyone else if they're getting here? We're trying to figure out which feed. Do we like I don't want to spoil any of the testimony. So let me just go to like, do we like this new camera thing? And actually they don't have it at first. Then they switch to it. That's so funny. Look at Long Crime. How did they get to do this though?
You mentioned something about hypothermia that you assumed you may have been dealing with a hypothermia situation. And your answer was, yeah.
I wonder if this is going to cause a whole ruckus. I'm really curious. Is Law and Crime going to get their ass handed to them by the defense? Like, what is happening? I mean, I think it might be funny to watch her. Like, my personal take is it might be funny to watch her reactions to some of the bullshit, but I don't know. I mean, again, the sound is slightly better on Court TV. Y'all let me know what you guys think. I guess what we'll do is we'll start out with this one. So, because this is a brand a whole new world. This is a whole new world, right? So I guess we'll start out with this. Although, again, it starts with this witness. But yeah, anyway. So, all right. Well, how long do they do? Okay, the housekeeping is not that long. So we'll just go this way. We'll just go this route. And then we'll see what people think. Okay. So, all right. Let's go. So here we are. Housekeeping, day 3.
Confirm whether experts in this.
Here we go. And we're off like a herd of turtles. Does anyone know what that's from?
Please proceed to court as a session. 22117 Commonwealth versus Karen Reed.
All right, so I was told counsel wanted to see me.
Good morning, Your Honor. Yes,
Good morning.
I just have one brief issue I want to raise for the court. I wanted to confirm whether experts in this case are permitted to watch testimony in order to prepare for rebuttal. We had asked for that.
For rebuttal, like post.
Interesting. That's always allowed in my experience. Now, having said that, the one exception might be Judge Belvin with Casey Anthony because he does the things that no one else does. But it's from The Office, Twiz. It's from the episode where, what is it? When him and Pam are going on the road to go do, what are they doing? They're going to a conference or they're going to go speak at something. It's just the two of them. And he goes, and we're off like a herd of turtles. Anyway. Yeah, this is so, yeah, normally experts can watch this shit. I'm in office shower time. Okay.
For responding, okay.
In our case, for both sides.
Okay. What's your position? Ms. Little, you want to?
Yes.
All right. Mr. Brennan, is there any reason not to?
I need to give it some thought. I'm not willing to agree. I'll abide by whatever the court thinks is fair.
So why don't you think about it? We'll address it later today. Okay, there's no.
Why does he say shit like this? Hold on. Fucking hell.
All right. Mr. Brennan, is there any reason not to?
I need to give it some thought. I'm not willing to agree. I'll abide by whatever the court thinks is fair.
So why don't
I'll abide by whatever the court thinks is fair. Of course you will. You don't have a choice. It's whatever she just. Okay.
you think about it? We'll address it later today. Okay, there's no expert testimony today, right?
It's not.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, sure. Is that it? Ready to bring the jury in? You wanted a ruling on the clip from yesterday?
I did.
All right, you can play it.
Thank you.
All right, so
Oh,
we'll
okay.
take a quick break.
All right, and they are going to, hold on. They're going to,
Bring the jury.
there we go. Why are they, okay.
Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. All persons having anything to do before the Honorable Beverly Cannoni, the Justice of the Superior Court, now holding in Dedham within and Far County and Norfolk. Draw near, give your attendance, and you shall be heard. God save the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. This court is in session. Please be seated. 22117, the Commonwealth versus Karen Reed.
All
I
right,
just
good
wanted to
morning.
tell you guys that every time they say this honorable court and it shows her face, I roll and I'm like, ugh.
Again, counsel. Good morning, Ms. Reed.
Good morning, jurors. I have to ask you those same three questions. Were you all able to follow
Her
the
face is so annoying every time she does this.
instructions and refrain from discussing this case with anyone since we were here yesterday? Everyone said yes and nodded affirmatively. Were you also able to follow the instructions and refrain from doing any independent research or investigation into this case? Everyone said yes and nodded affirmatively. Did anyone happen to see, hear, or read anything about this case since we left here yesterday? No. Everyone said no or should be. Thank you very much. Could we bring Mr. Whitley back in, please?
All right, Andy's back.
Can I proceed?
Yes.
Mr. Whitley, yesterday you testified that when Karen Reed was brought to the hospital, she didn't want to get into a hospital Johnny and she didn't want to give a urine sample. Do you recall that testimony?
I do.
It was clear to you that her reluctance
Okay.
to cooperate
Just
at
to
that
know what's going on. They were in the middle of cross when they ended for the day. So they're resuming with cross, right?
time was because she very much wanted to check on John's progress and status at the hospital, correct?
No, I don't believe that to be the case.
Well, you testified before the grand jury regarding this matter 3 years ago, didn't you?
I don't believe I said that she was
I
reluctant.
didn't ask you that question. You testified before the grand jury 3 years ago, didn't you?
I testified before the grand jury 3 years ago.
You were under oath then, as you're under oath today, correct?
Correct.
You swore to tell the truth.
I am telling the truth.
You swore to tell the truth in 2022 before the grand jury, did you not?
I did.
That was less than 3 months after you brought Karen Reed to the hospital, didn't you?
Yeah.
And your memory of what happened at the hospital was very good in April of 2022, right?
As good as today.
Your memory in April of 2022 was very good, wasn't it?
It was very good as it is today.
Okay, so you want to add the as it is today, despite the fact that you weren't asked that question. Is that right?
Objection.
Sustained.
All right. When questioned by Mr. Lally at the grand jury, you were asked the following question. So what, if any, interaction did you have with her, meaning Ms. Reed, at the hospital once you were there? You remember that question.
We can't get away from it, guys. Y'all, every time that they do the grand jury, it's like they don't need to say who it is, right? We know. But every single fucking question starts with what, if any. It's bizarre.
You weren't asked that question. Is that right?
Objection.
Sustained.
All right. When questioned by Mr. Lally at the grand jury, you were asked the following question. So what, if any, interaction did you have with her, meaning Ms. Reed, at the hospital once you were there? You remember that question, right?
I do.
And your answer was, so after that, I helped escort her down to, they call it the psych hallway, where they have rooms set up for psychiatric patients for their evaluation. And then she was unhappy that she wasn't able to see him, meaning John. And she kept trying to. She didn't want to get into a hospital Johnny. She didn't want to, I believe, give a urine sample. She was not, the nurses were asking her to do certain things that every patient has to do, and she was not cooperating with them. Do you remember that answer?
I do.
So 3 years ago, when you testified about this issue of giving a urine sample, you testified under oath that you believed that she didn't want to give a urine sample, correct?
Correct.
Yesterday, 3 years later, you testified with certainty that she didn't want to give them, right?
Yeah, she was giving them a hard time about having to give a urine sample.
Right. No, I'm asking you about your testimony yesterday in contrast to the grand jury, sir.
Okay.
To the extent that I ask yes or no question, I'd like yes or no answers.
So
okay?
no instructions to the witness, Ms.
You
Giannetti.
want
Ask
me
a
to be
question.
instructed to answer the question yes or no if it calls for a yes or no question. Answer.
Answer the question that's asked of you, okay?
Okay.
So go ahead, ask a question.
You testified yesterday that she didn't want to give a urine sample without saying it was your belief that she didn't want to give one, correct?
Correct.
In any case, were you aware that when she was asked to give a urine sample, that Ms. Reed had gotten her period and did not have a tampon?
Oh,
I was aware she was on her period, yes.
You're also aware that when somebody is brought to the hospital for a Section 12, they have no privacy. Isn't that right?
They have medical privacy. Either the tech or the nurse would be with the patient at all times.
Okay. With them at all times, observing them at all times, correct?
So they wouldn't be, she wasn't in like a hallway open to the public.
Understood, sir. But she also, when I said privacy, what I was asking is she was not allowed to go to the bathroom alone to give a urine sample, correct?
She was a psychiatric patient.
Right. So she would have to use the bathroom in front of hospital personnel or some medical personnel with people watching her while she was on her period with no tampon.
Wow.
I would understand that to be true.
All right.
That's really crappy. What a terrible timing to have that happen.
And you're aware that she did cooperate and eventually
On top of everything else.
a blood sample as well, correct?
I'm not aware of a blood sample, but urine sample, yes.
She did get the urine sample.
Correct.
Now, in your testimony, yes, of what Karen Reed may have asked you about John surviving in the snow with light clothes. You remember those questions? John surviving in the
Obviously, as you can hear, they're having some little audio issues, but I think they're sorting it out.
snow with light clothing. You remember those questions?
Now you guys see this. This is the alternate view, right? This is, I have no idea. This just literally happened today. This is what I was, y'all, if you're just now joining us, let me know if you want to watch this view or if you want to go back to the standard court TV view. I just thought I would watch it and see if it's what y'all think. All right.
I remember asking about not having a jacket, correct?
Now, starting at the end of the day, when I cross-examined you yesterday,
If you were, I think Twiz timed you out. Well,
I asked you about that topic, and I said to you, you mentioned something about hypothermia, that you assumed you may have been dealing with the hypothermia situation, and your answer was, well, she said that he had been out in the snow without a jacket for many hours, correct?
Correct.
But before I cross-examined you at the end of the day yesterday, you previously testified 3 times about this topic, correct?
I believe it would be the grand jury and the previous trial.
Right, and direct examination when Mr. Brennan was asking you questions before I stood up, correct?
Okay, yes.
Let's start with the first time you testified about this topic back in 2022. That was, again, less than 3 months after you had a conversation with Ms. Reed at the scene on January 29th, correct?
Correct.
Her statements and questions to you at the scene were fresh in your mind in April of 2022, correct?
Correct.
In April of 2022, before the grand jury, Mr. Lally asked you, quote, what, if any, questions did she ask you regarding hypothermia? Do you remember that question?
I do.
Your answer was, she was just wondering if he could have survived outside in the cold even though he didn't have a jacket on. Do you remember giving that answer?
I do.
Nowhere in that answer, in 2022, less than 3 months after these events, do you attribute the words, quote, many hours, end quote, in the snow to Ms. Reed, correct?
Yes, I was not.
I'm not asking for an explanation, sir. I'm asking for an answer.
All right, so he was answering you, Mr.
My
Yannetti.
question called for a yes or no answer. Nowhere in your answer in 2022 do you attribute the words many hours in the snow to Ms. Reed, yes or no?
No, I did not say that at that point.
Nowhere in your answer in 2022 do you testify that Ms. Reed told you he had actually been in the snow for many hours, correct?
She did.
Sir, I'm asking you about.
Okay, so I'll just say this again. So for anyone who's just now getting here, so I was saying at the beginning of the live stream. So as far as the juror interviews, I'm on top of all that. So I saw the video you sent me. I've already watched it, and I've got a playlist, of all that. But what I was waiting for to cover it live, right? Because I had a feeling as soon as because of when they were leaving the courthouse, jurors were immediately speaking out. I had a feeling that there would be subsequent lengthier interviews with them either by themselves or maybe also as a group. We saw that with Chad Daybell. And I had a feeling they were going to come and speak out to Nate, right? And so that's why I haven't covered them yet, because initially the first one is like real short, right? And so basically, sure enough, just from a couple hours ago, Nate Eaton posted a one-on-one interview with a juror that's like 45 minutes long, right? And I'm sure there will be more. And so we will watch those tomorrow, because I would rather do that than just like a 14-minute one. You know what I mean? These jurors want to talk. So that's awesome. There's more videos that are coming out, Heather. There's more videos. So we will watch those. But the other thing is Lori gave an interview with Arizona True Crime. For any of y'all that were there, we tried to watch her interview prior to her trial with the same lady, and it took down my stream or what have you, which was really annoying. But the same lady that just did another interview with her, it's like 45 minutes long, about her thoughts on the verdict. And she shows up in her orange jumpsuit and is going to talk about the verdict and her thoughts. And it's like 45 minutes long, like I said, with the same lady. So the way we can watch that, though, now that I've figured out how to do things in the Discord with watching things, we can watch it in the Discord. So my thoughts were, when we finish this live stream, if you guys are still here and awake, we can go into the Discord and we can watch that, the one with the Arizona True Crime, where it's Lori's thoughts on the verdict. Apparently that's the only lady that Lori's talking to. So that channel has a monopoly, and they're the ones that take your stream down. So we can watch it in the Discord. right? I know, the stupid orange bra, right? Yeah, we love Nate Eaton, love Nate Eaton. So Lori's not going to talk to Nate Eaton, but the jurors are talking to Nate Eaton. So luckily, shout out to East Idaho. We can watch those, as you guys know, right? Like, that's awesome. I love it. We can totally watch those, and we will. We'll start watching those tomorrow. But as far as the Lori interview, that will have to be in the Discord. So, so there you go. There you go. All right.
Do you attribute the words "many hours in the snow" to Ms. Reed? Yes or no?
Oh my
No,
God.
I did not say that at that point.
Heather, do you have an orange bra? I don't think I have. I have had an orange bra in the past. I might have an orange sports bra. Let me go look.
Nowhere in your answer in 2022 do you testify that Ms. Reed told you he had actually been in the snow for many hours, correct?
She did. At that-
Sir, I'm asking you about your testimony.
I object.
So let him answer the question.
Let me ask it again. Nowhere in your answer in 2022 did you
Yeah, I
testify?
do. I have this really sweet North Face sports bra that's like tie-dye, and it's got a lot of orange in it. So that's the closest thing I got. I'm pretty sure. I'll double check on the regular ones. Welcome, Kane. Heather does. I love the color orange. I mean, not the quite the jumpsuit orange. Like, the way it looks on her in this interview that we will watch in the Discord is like, it's like super unflattering. It's like extra unflattering. It's pretty funny. But they also have her like in the dark with like spotlights on. Dude, it's probably the worst she's ever looked. It's really fucking funny. It'll definitely be an incentive for you guys to come into the Discord so we can watch it for sure.
Testify that Ms. Reed told you he had actually been in the snow for many hours, correct?
In 2022, I testified that I was just told to be brief and give generalizations. She quantified many hours in the snow when we were back.
Let me try this again,
So,
sir.
Ms. Giannetti, you're just saying 2022. Get to a date
Of course,
and a
yes.
place.
April of 2022, okay, before the grand jury. My question again, and I'm still seeking a yes or no answer from you, okay? Nowhere in your answer in April of 2022, before the grand jury, did you testify under oath that Ms. Reed told you that John had actually been in the snow for many hours, correct?
Not in 2022 of April, no.
Okay. The next time you testified under oath was last year in 2024, correct?
Correct.
During that testimony, Mr. Lally asked you, oh, by the way, so 2022 is no mention of many hours, right?
I did not, and I was told to be brief on the grand jury stand.
But again, no mention of many hours in 2022. Okay. Now, 2024, last year, Mr. Lally asked you, so firefighter Whitley, at some point, specific to your conversations with the defendant, Ms. Reed, can you describe sort of her demeanor or any observations you made in relation to that as you were speaking with her? And your answer was, yes, she was very upset. She kept asking if there was any chance. She kept asking us if we knew if the person ambulance 1 had transported was alive or dead, and we could not speak to that. She asked if somebody could be alive in the snow without a jacket for many hours, correct?
Correct.
So 2022, there was no mention of many hours. 2024, over time, now that's the first time that you mention the words many hours in your testimony regarding this case, correct?
Correct.
All right. And when you testified last year, you testified still that she was asking you a question about surviving in the snow, correct?
Correct.
So then we come to yesterday on direct examination. Do you recall that Mr. Brennan yesterday asked you before you left,
I just double checked. I've got, as far as the regular ones, I've got like every fucking color, but I don't have orange. That's really funny. But I do have the sports bra. Okay, I'm gonna keep playing.
having any conversations with the defendant, and you answered yes. You recall that yesterday?
Is that at the hospital?
I'm asking you yesterday, do you recall Mr. Brennan asking you before you left essentially the scene, were you having any conversations with the defendant, and your answer was yes?
You're talking about either, I'm just trying to make sure we're talking about the same instance. Are we talking about when we left the hospital or when we left Fairview Road?
When you were at Fairview Road, leaving Fairview Road. We're talking about the same subject of what Ms. Reed supposedly told you or asked you. Okay? Mr. Brennan went into that with you.
So on the way to, you're talking on the way to the hospital in terms of left, when we left
Well, before you left. He meant before you left the scene.
Okay,
When
no,
you
I'm
were-
just trying to clarify.
Again, it's the same conversation, Mr. Whitley. I'm not
So,
trying to trick you.
Mr. Yannetti, he just asked for a point of reference. It's clear, no go.
Understood. And Mr. Brennan said, can you share with the jury what those conversations were about? And your answer was, so we were talking, she was upset. She kept asking if there was any chance her husband could be alive, even sitting outside in the snow without any coat for many hours. Do you recall that answer that you gave yesterday on direct examination?
Yes.
And that was the first time that you mentioned that she said, supposedly, or asked supposedly, about him sitting outside in the snow, correct?
I was just using phrases generally speaking.
Not my question.
I wasn't at that point I was paraphrasing. I was not speaking verbatim to what she said.
Let's try that again. That was the first time that you mentioned that she claimed or asked that he was sitting outside, correct?
It could have been sitting, laying, being.
Let's try it a third time.
Yeah, this
Was
is
that-
an interesting one. The sitting thing is interesting here. By the way, I just love Mr. Yannetti. He reminds me of like a real life gangster. Like if you were to actually meet one in real life, like the kind in the movies, that's what he reminds me of.
Just using phrases generally speaking.
Not my question.
I wasn't at that point I was paraphrasing. I was not speaking verbatim to what she said.
Let's try that again. That was the first time that you mentioned that she claimed or asked that he was sitting outside, correct?
It could have been sitting, laying, being.
Let's try it a third time.
So
Was that-
just ask the question, not let's try it.
Sure.
Let's try it.
Was that the first time that you testified under oath that Ms. Reed said or asked about him sitting outside?
Are you asking me to clarify whether she used the
I'm not
word
asking you
sitting?
to clarify anything. I'm asking you whether that was the first time yesterday during direct examination that you mentioned that she asked about him sitting outside.
I'm sorry. I am very confused because I'm trying to figure out if he was being outside, sitting outside.
I'm asking about Ms. Reed's statements, sir. That's all I've been asking you about. Her
Okay.
statements to you and your testimony about her statements to you. Was yesterday on direct examination the first time that you testified under oath that Ms. Reed mentioned the words sitting outside?
I don't know.
All right.
I'm just using. She might have said laying outside, being outside, outside.
Wow. So,
Okay,
y'all,
so-
does anyone want to weigh in though on the new deal on the long crime, their new thing they got going with the cameras here?
So when you testified
This is
yesterday,
a test run. This is the first day they've had this. So like earlier I was saying we could take a vote. So like this versus your standard feed, right? Like for example, what we're used to is like this type of thing, right? So let me know if you have a preference. Hang on. Okay, there we go.
before this jury,
Yes.
that she mentioned the words sitting outside, you're now saying that that might not have been accurate, correct?
It could have been a different word.
Okay, but you didn't say it could have been a different word yesterday. You just left it as sitting outside, correct?
Yeah, that's what I said. Sitting.
All right, so now we get from, the grand jury with no many hours mentioned, to questions about many hours, to sitting outside, to let's talk about what you said on cross-examination.
I object.
Okay, the objection is sustained.
Sure. On cross-examination, your words were, she said he had been out in the snow without a jacket on for many hours, correct?
She had asked if he had been outside, if there was any chance he could be alive, even though he was outside without a jacket for many hours.
So it always was a question, correct?
It was a question.
She never said what you said on cross-examination yesterday, which was she said that he had been out in the snow without a jacket on for many hours. That was not a declarative statement by Ms. Reed, correct?
Objection.
I'll allow that. Was that a declarative statement by Ms. Reed?
She asked if he could be alive without a jacket in the snow for many hours.
So again, it was a question, sir.
She asked me, and we were just trying to give her hope in terms of telling stories of hypothermic patients that could survive outside in the snow.
Okay, is there any
All right.
redirect?
Briefly.
Okay.
A redirect. A redirect.
When you were called to the grand jury, was the testimony as in-depth and as long as it is in front of this jury?
Not even close.
When you're recounting
Was
your
it
memories
long?
of what happened, do
Or
you
is it
memorize word for word what you've said in the past?
Objection.
As to that form, it's sustained.
When you're recounting the past, do you record your statements personally?
Objection.
I'm going to let that word. Do you record your statements?
No.
Next question.
When you testified in the grand jury, page 90, line 15, and you said, the defendant told you, I'm
I
upset.
can see Karen writing some stuff down over there.
If he dies, I want to die. And then you later testify last year, and you said, if my husband dies, I want to die. Do you notice the little differences between those phrases?
I do.
Is that you making up words?
No.
Is that you trying to help a case?
Objection.
Mr. Form, that's sustained.
Are you
What I
inventing
like,
facts?
what I will say that I like about this is you can kind of, I mean, this little rectangle over there, you can see Mr. Unetti going to pop up to object, which I appreciate. I wish we could see more of him and less of Karen, to be honest, because I would love to watch him over there.
Sir, when you were recounting what happened that day, are you using your best memory?
Objection.
There it is.
When you were asked by the defendant about how long, or someone out in the snow without a jacket for many hours, do you remember that conversation with her?
I do.
Where were you during that conversation?
We were in the back of the ambulance.
Do you remember it distinctly?
I remember it distinctly. She was looking at me.
When you tried to give her hope and comfort, and you told her stories about other situations where people, maybe children, had fallen through the ice and had hypothermia, did you have that conversation with her in trying to comfort her?
I did.
Do you remember that conversation?
I do.
Did you necessarily share those conversations with the grand jury?
I don't recall if I did or I didn't.
Did you ever write that in your report?
No.
Is it something you typically put everything in your report?
No, we do not write. Generally, we only write patient complaint, what happened, and what they did, not their opinions or anything like that to what's going on.
Do you have any interest in the outcome of this case?
I do not.
How long have you been a firefighter for?
Since March of 2006, and an EMT since November of 2002.
Over 20 years.
Correct.
You said that you live near Kerry Roberts?
I do.
You've been to a block party for the kids where you brought the fire engine down?
I do.
Objection.
I'm going to allow it.
When you're at that block party, do you ever step out and have secret meetings with Kerry Roberts trying to corroborate some conspiracy on their behalf?
No.
I'm going to allow that.
No.
Put your career on the line?
Objection.
Sustained.
No further questions.
Any follow-up, Mr. Unetti?
No, Your Honor.
All right, Firefighter Whitley, you are all set, sir.
Wow. Well, couple things. First of all, there's a lot more objections in this trial than the last one. Like a lot more. Second of all, what do you guys think the point of this dude was? What was the Commonwealth's goal with this witness? The only thing I can think of really was like the fact that she didn't want to give a urine sample is supposed to be because she was worried about them seeing her blood alcohol level. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know what the point was. Do you guys know what the point was of that? I mean, was this witness effective? I don't know.
Let's play clip 5, Your Honor.
All right, another clip, guys. I had an easier time figuring out most of the time what Lori Vallow's goals were. Even if they were nonsensical and illogical, I could at least figure it. Like, I feel like I have an easier time sometimes with that versus with the Commonwealth here. I'm like, what? I don't see this. I don't see the strategy here. Like, if, for example, even if the facts weren't so terrible, it's like usually you can at least see what they're going for with the strategy. But anyway, all right.
And his mother leans over the kitchen island and says to me, I think it looks like you got hit by a car. It looks like you got hit by a car.
Really, the reason, well, this one I can say, the reason they wanted to play this is because of the face she makes. That's what this is about.
And his mother leans over the kitchen island and says to me, I think it looks like you got hit by a car. It looks like you got hit by a car.
All right, who's your next witness, Mr. Brennan?
Next witness is Jean DeMoulis.
This is a new witness from last time. We didn't have this lady. I believe she's just laying some foundation.
May I proceed?
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Could you please introduce yourself to the jury?
My name is Jean DeMoulis. I am the general manager at CF McCarthy's in Canton.
I'm going to ask you to keep your voice up if you would, please.
Sure.
Thank you.
You said you're the general manager at CF McCarthy's?
In Canton, yes,
How long have you been the general manager at CF McCarthy's in Canton for?
for 6 years.
Can you briefly describe for the jury what CF McCarthy's is?
It is a restaurant and bar.
Classic.
At CF McCarthy's, is there a video surveillance system inside?
Yes,
Who owns that video surveillance system?
CF McCarthy's.
Are you familiar with the video system?
Yes,
Have you ever looked at it before?
yes,
Do you employ people to help the establishment with the video system?
no,
You maintain it on your own?
yes,
At some point, were you visited by somebody from the Massachusetts State Police?
yes,
Were you asked whether or not they could view some of your video surveillance?
yes.
Do you remember the date? Not the date they came to visit you, the date that they were looking for.
I believe it was January 28th, 27th, 28th of
Around that
2022.
time?
Yes,
Did you allow access to the video system?
yes,
Did you oversee that access to the video system?
yes.
Did
You're laying foundation to get in surveillance video. I don't even know if this is really all that. Let's just.
was it a state police officer?
It was two state police detectives.
Okay, so this is just foundation. We're going to skip ahead. This is, you know, we don't need to listen to this, and there's not going to be a cross. She's already done. She's already done. Next. Okay, now they're going to play the. Now they're going to play the clip.
Thank you. Ma'am, I'm going to show you just some random shots from this video, but I want to know if you recognize it. Is this the inside of CF McCarthy's?
Yes,
I'm not asking if you have any particular knowledge or information about that night.
Yeah.
Is this a fair and accurate depiction of what CF McCarthy's looks like?
yes,
Has there been any substantive?
We talked about this last time that we really. This looks like a nice place. Like I like the ambiance. Like all of us here in Scroll Crew were like, yeah, we totally would chill there.
Significant changes to the inside of that establishment
no,
since this video was taken?
no.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Gilman. You're all right. I have no further questions.
Okay.
Okay.
Next witness, Mr. Brennan.
Thank you. Bridget Meehan. May I proceed?
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Could you introduce yourself to the jury, please?
My name is Bridget Meehan.
Where do you work?
I work at the Waterfall Bar and Grill in Canton.
Waterfall.
The name maybe tells us a little bit about it, but could you just share a couple lines of what the Waterfall Bar and Grill is?
It's a small family-owned business in Canton. It's in a mixed condo complex.
Are you involved in the ownership of it?
Yes.
How long have you been involved with the Waterfall Bar and Grill?
We've been there approximately 10 years.
Do you help run the establishment?
Yes, I do.
And you were running the establishment back on January 28, 2022? At some point, were you asked or visited to see if your
I want to
establishment-
know were these people shocked to see that all these different patrons of both establishments were walking out with drinks in their hand? That is craziness.
had video surveillance of the inside?
I was.
Does your establishment have video surveillance of the inside?
It does.
Do you have a camera and a server?
Do I have? Yes, I do.
Did you provide video surveillance to the Massachusetts State Police from that night, January 28, 2022?
Yes.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
I'd like to move this in as an exhibit, please.
Okay. Ms. Giannetti?
Okay.
Thank you.
With the court's permission?
Yes.
Thank you. Ma'am, I'm going to show you just a brief clip. Okay, stop, please. Do you see that video?
I do.
Does that depict the inside of McCarthy's?
No.
I'm sorry, the Waterfall?
Yes.
I'm trying to switch establishments on you. Back on January 28, 2022, does that look the way it looked then?
Yes.
Has there been any significant changes inside since then?
No.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Okay. All right, Ms. Meehan.
Thank you.
And I'll just that one down.
Is my camera on here?
All right, your next witness, Mr. Brennan.
Commonwealth calls Mike Camerano.
Okay, Michael Camerano. He also looks really different from last year to me. Do you guys think so too?
Yeah.
Please.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Could you please introduce yourself to the jury?
Hi, good morning. My name is Michael Camerano.
Mr. Camerano, can I ask how old you are? I'm sorry.
Spell your last name.
Camerano.
And so if you could either move the microphone down a little bit or speak up, or maybe a combination of both.
Lolly?
please.
Oh
Thank
God,
you.
I just called him Lolly. Brennan, why do you have to ask his age though?
Could I ask you how old you are?
48,
Where do you live?
Canton, Mass.
How long have you lived in Canton for?
Me and my wife have lived there for 20 years. Me and my wife have lived there for 20 years. We have 2 children.
How old are your children, sir?
My daughter is 17. My son is 14.
Did you know John O'Keefe?
Yes.
How did you know him?
I met John for the first time at his sister's day of benefit for his sister in 2013. I met John there for the first time. And then years later, our kids got involved with sports together, and they became very close. As they became close, I became very close with John and his family.
Was your daughter close with John's niece?
Yes.
Was your son close with?
Yes.
Did you spend a lot of time together through sports and socially?
Yes, we did.
I want to take you forward to January 28th of 2022.
Okay.
Do you remember that day?
Yes.
Have you, without any discussion of what might have been said, did you have any discussions with John that day?
Yes.
Did you have a plan?
Yes, we were communicating.
At some point, did you decide that you were going to spend some time or go meet John?
Yes. That Friday, my daughter and his daughter, they got acceptance letters to school. So we wanted to get them together so they could enjoy the time together. And, just, go over like how it'll be so much fun, something new, different. Yeah, so we were going to meet up after I got out of work.
Was your daughter planning to go to a new school?
Yes.
Where?
Bishop Fan.
And how about his niece?
Same.
They both got accepted to
They
the
both
same
got
school?
accepted to the same school.
Was it a celebratory mood?
Yes.
Did you have a plan to bring the children together so they could celebrate?
Yes, we did.
And then separately, you were going to meet John and celebrate?
Correct.
Where did you drop your daughter off?
I dropped my daughter off at John. I went into John's. I was at the house with John and the girls, and we had a little celebration. Talked about how nice it's going to be, fun, change, different, meet new people.
And you celebrated at John's house before you went out?
Correct.
After the celebration with your children, did you and John leave?
Yes.
During that celebration, was there anybody there other than you, John, and your two daughters?
No. No. Karen was not there.
Was there anybody else there?
No, just the two girls, myself and John.
What was the weather like that night?
It was cold. It was not snowing yet.
Was there an expectation?
Yes, there's an expectation. Yes,
And what was that?
that there was going to be a big snowstorm coming in.
A storm was coming.
Yes.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
When you left, did you leave in a separate car than John, or did you leave together?
No, we left together. John got in my car, and we were leaving. We were going to leave.
Where were the girls?
The girls were in the house, stayed in the house.
They were staying at John's house?
Yes, correct.
Where did you go?
We went to CF McCarthy's.
When you got there, did you know anybody who was there other than you and John?
At that time, no.
Did you spend time at CF McCarthy's?
Yes.
Were you drinking?
Yes.
Was John drinking?
Yes.
Alcohol?
Yes.
How long were you there for?
A couple hours.
While you were there, did anybody come and meet you that you knew?
Yes.
Who?
A friend, and then Karen came in.
The friend?
Yes.
What was the friend's name?
Kurt.
And then how long after you first got there was it that the defendant arrived?
I would like to say within an hour or so. Not 100% sure.
You said back home it was a celebratory mood. Was it still a celebratory mood at McCarthy's?
Yes.
When the defendant arrived, did she spend time with you and John?
I've talked briefly to her, and her and John were mostly talking.
Okay. You didn't see any issues?
No.
It was a normal night?
Seemed to be, yes.
As far as you could see?
Yes.
And you saw John drinking?
Yes.
Did you see the defendant drinking?
I saw her with a glass, yes.
Okay. Did you leave at the same time that John left?
No, I did not.
When you left, was John still at the establishment?
Yes.
When you left, was the defendant still with him?
Yes.
Why did you leave?
I left because I got a phone call. My son was playing hockey in the backyard, and he got hit with a stick and lost his tooth.
Oh. Where did you go?
I went to my son's friend's house.
Do you know about what time that was when you went to see your son?
I would like to say 9:30, between 9:30 and 10.
You didn't go back to McCarthy's that night, did you?
No, I did not.
After you helped your son, where did you go next?
I went to pick up my daughter, Madeline.
Did you go?
At John's house.
Did you go in John's house?
No, I did not.
When you got to John's house, did your daughter come out?
No. We went to the side door and rang the doorbell.
And then what happened?
And then my daughter came to the door.
Where'd you go?
From there, we left and went home.
When you went home, had the weather changed at all?
It was cool. It might have been flurrying at that time.
No accumulation?
No.
You got home?
Yes.
Did you do anything significant when you got home?
Put the kids to bed, my son, and no, I went to bed.
What's the next thing you remember happening?
Waking up to, I missed some phone calls.
Who were the missed phone calls from?
From my wife and Karen.
What did you do?
I called my wife.
After speaking to your wife, what did you do?
I got in my car and drove to John's house.
About what time was this?
In between maybe 5 and 6 a.m.
Okay. What was your mood at that point?
I was panicked.
Why did you go to John's house?
Because I went to get Kaylee.
Did you know she was alone?
Yes.
How long did it take you to get to John's house?
Maybe 5-7 minutes.
When you get to John's house, what do you see?
I pull in the driveway. I see the garage door is open. I go in through the garage door. I don't know if he was standing there. If the door, she came out the door, and I asked her, if she needed anything, she could get in my car and stay warm.
When you first saw Kaylee, what did she look like?
She looked distraught.
Did you try to help her?
Well, I think I just said everything will be okay.
Did she come with you?
Yes.
Where are you going?
To my house.
So what happens?
So we go to my house, and my daughter's up, and the two girls they were hanging downstairs, just hanging out, just being kids. And then, I don't know, a couple hours later, maybe, Paul called me and asked me to bring Kaylee home.
Did you know anything at that point?
I did, yeah.
You did or didn't?
At that point, I did when Paul had told me.
So what do you do?
Ask Madeline and Kaylee if I'd say, Madeline, we come for the ride. I don't say anything to Kaylee, and we get in the car, and I start heading back to John's house.
And you didn't say anything to Kaylee?
No, I didn't. I just said everything will be all right. She had a feeling.
Why did you say that?
She didn't want to go home.
So what happens next?
So I pull in the driveway, and I remember Paul and Papa standing. I think they were standing at the side door, and we just embraced.
Did you stay?
No, not long. No.
Did you go back?
I was to the house. I went back to my house.
Did you go back to John's house?
I did the next day. Yes, I was there.
When you went back, were there people there?
Yes.
Many?
There was people coming and going.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Camerano.
Good morning.
This is quite painful for you to remember the events of January 28th, is it not?
Yes.
You were very close with your friend John O'Keefe, correct?
I was close with him, yes.
And you actually met Karen Reed through John, correct?
Correct.
After meeting Karen, you spent a good amount of time with both Karen and John, correct?
Correct.
As of January 28th of 2022, you had known Karen for maybe about a year or so?
Sounds correct.
And you'd see them especially on Fridays, correct?
Correct.
That would be sort of the day that you get together with both of them often?
Yes.
And of course, your children spent a lot of time with John and Karen, right?
Correct.
You entrusted both Karen and John with your kids.
Yes.
Sometimes your kids would even go on vacation with Karen and John, right?
They did go to the Cape, yes.
Sometimes you'd see Karen without John at your house or on a ball field.
Correct.
And your daughter in particular would sometimes spend time with just Karen without John, correct?
Correct.
Your daughter would sometimes go over to Karen's house in Mansfield when she lived there, correct?
Correct.
And obviously when your daughter would go to Karen's house in Mansfield, Karen would be the one in charge of caring for her, correct?
Correct.
And you were fine with that because you liked and you trusted Karen, right?
Correct.
And in your view, Karen was very good with kids, right?
Correct.
But you also had the opportunity to see Karen and John together, right?
Yes.
You saw how they interacted with each other over that year period that you knew Karen?
Yes.
You saw how they got along?
Yes.
And you never observed any arguments or bickering, correct?
I mean, they argued and bickered.
You had previously testified that you wouldn't even call it arguing, you just call it banter, right?
Yes. I mean, he would, no, he would get upset or like over if she bought expensive things for the kids.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
we will get to that. That would be the one thing that John would complain about, Karen buying like very nice things for his niece and nephew, right?
Correct.
Or he'd complain if, Karen was taking his niece and other girls to get their nails done, like extravagances like that.
Correct.
And one specific memory you have is when Karen bought his niece a very expensive sweater, right?
Correct.
And you recall John telling you that he wished that she hadn't done that because he considered that to be spoiling the girl, correct?
Yes.
But it was very clear to you from your observations that Karen really, really liked John. I'm sorry, John really, really liked Karen, right?
Sustained.
He certainly never told you or even suggested he was thinking about or planning to break up with
That
Karen,
was
right?
due to speculation.
Okay, so with regard to that Friday night, January 28th, sir, the plan was for you and John to go to McCarthy's to have some drinks because there was a storm coming in, correct? And because of the celebration of the girls getting into Bishop Fen?
Well, yeah, we were going out. It wasn't a continuation of the celebration of the girls. We were going out to have a few beers as guys.
Okay. And when you were leaving the house, John asked you to move your car, right?
Correct.
Where was your car when John asked you to move it that night?
Actually, I backed up my car. We were leaving the driveway, and John asked me to stop so he could move his car.
I see. And he wanted you to move your car because of the storm coming in, and you wanted Karen to be able to pull her car into the garage, right?
Correct.
And that was really thoughtful of him, wasn't it?
Yes, extremely.
And it showed you that he was being chivalrous toward Karen that night, right?
Yes.
He didn't want Karen to be out in the heavy snow later when she returned to his house during the expected blizzard, right?
Sustained.
You took from that there was an expectation that Karen would be coming back to his house, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
You had no inkling that day that anything was wrong between Karen and John, correct?
No.
Everything seemed fine between the two of them, right?
Yes, he did mention though that night that he didn't understand why Karen had a plumber go to the house.
Because he had somebody that could have done that work instead of paying for the plumber, right?
Well, yes.
Okay.
And
but in any case, the plan was for Karen to meet up with the two of you, right?
yes.
And she did show up to McCarthy's at about 8:30 p.m. or so?
Yes, I guess if that's the time.
And you saw an affection.
I'm sorry, what was the answer that you
If
said?
that was the time, I'm not sure about the timeline.
Okay. It was sometime after you
Yes.
got there. Right.
Correct.
But you do remember when Karen arrived, there was an affectionate greeting between John and Karen, right?
Yes.
You saw them kiss, right?
Yes.
You saw John put his arm around Karen,
Correct.
and you saw that Karen sort of nestled into his embrace.
Correct.
Nestled
When
into
she
his
did
embrace.
that, that's when he kissed her, correct?
Yes,
And they seemed happy to see each other, did they not?
they did.
That night they were affectionate,
Yes.
laughing,
Yes.
happy,
Yes.
like a normal couple.
Yes.
No arguments.
No.
You witnessed no bickering, no tension, correct?
No.
And during the month before John's passing, that January of 2022, you observed their relationship in your presence to be normal, caring, and affectionate, right?
Yes.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, great. Good cross. I would say there's a lot more accomplished. I don't know what the Commonwealth was hoping to accomplish with this witness, but on cross, they definitely, accomplished a lot there with her good character and him trusting his daughter with her and their relationship being good. So
You were asked a number of questions about the relationship between John and Karen that night. Do you know what was going on behind closed doors other than what you saw?
I'll allow it.
No.
great question here. Are they going to call Higgins again? Dude, I have no idea. I think they would. I think if they do, I think that what they would hope to prove with Higgins is that they had that, the romantic designs. Actually, yeah, the romantic designs of it all, right? Although that came out in the defense opening. But I guess they brought that up because Higgins, in their mind, Higgins could be a possible third-party culprit, right? Yeah, right. Okay, right. But okay, so okay, let me reiterate. Higgins is a whole thing, right? And I believe he's also one of the people who's being investigated, or the internal affairs. But if the Commonwealth would call him, it would be because they're trying to show that Karen was not happy that she was going to end the relationship, and she's wanting to be with somebody else and all that, right? She'd be willing to cheat on John, what have you, right? Character assassination, motive to that. I mean, not that again, it doesn't really make sense. Like, you don't have to kill somebody to date somebody else. But anyway, but then the defense, though, in their mind, Higgins would be useful because it's like, well, if Higgins is like after Karen, then a potential motive for Higgins to kill John, right? Or at least, there's all the involvement with the Alberts. So anyway, it's just a mess. But I do agree they are killing the crosses this time, for sure.
Do you know whether or not they texted each other that day?
No, that day, no.
Do you know whether or not there was any arguments that day?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
Not to my, no, I don't know if they were, I don't know if they were arguing over the plumber situation.
Do you know if there's any vulgarities that day?
No.
Do you know if there's any vulgarities that night?
That's a weird
No,
question.
not to my knowledge.
Do you know whether or not John was trying to end the relationship with Miss Reed?
Objection.
Do you know that, sir?
No.
Next question.
Do you know if there was any jealousy in that relationship?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
The jealousy.
I mean, Karen wouldn't they did everything together, a lot of things together. And I thought at times, yeah, you could see, she didn't want other women around John. I don't know, not at that, but.
Thank you.
Now,
Follow up.
as far as the strategy goes, it could be a game of chicken, right? Like kind of like with Cousin Eddie with Murdoch trial, no one called him with Higgins, right? I'm just thinking about that, like strategy wise. Like it could be a game of chicken where it's like the Commonwealth doesn't call him because on the defense, it would be up to the defense. And the reason for doing that is because then they could have the advantage of being able to cross-examine, which means you can ask leading questions. So if there's a game of chicken involved, like in other words, if the Commonwealth doesn't call him, would the defense call him? And then if it's up to them, maybe they don't, and then maybe no one calls him. I don't know.
All right, Mr. Camerano, you're all set.
What they're talking about?
I'll see counsel at sidebar for just a minute, please.
Oh, I bet you will. Okay.
Hold on, please.
Sure, you can have a seat. I'll remind you you're still in the room.
Or stand, however you're most comfortable today. Just do whatever you want to do, okay?
We're getting the text messages.
Good morning, everyone.
Okay.
Sir, yesterday we talked about downloading phones and making what you called extractions.
Yes.
And from that data, you could create different types of
So
reports.
have Detective Guarino say his name again, please.
I'm sorry. Again, for the record, could you introduce yourself to the jury and spell your last name for the record?
Yeah, good morning. My name is Nicholas Guarino, Guarino.
Thank you.
Sir, you mentioned yesterday that you downloaded a number of phones, or you were involved in the process of downloading a number of phones.
That's correct.
You explained to us that after you have the data analyzed, you can pinpoint certain items that you may want to put in a document.
Yeah, so the extractions into a program of our choosing Cellbrite is the most commonly used, and then we can take call logs or text messages, any information that the investigator is looking for.
When you downloaded Mr. O'Keefe's phone and you downloaded the defendant's phone, did you try to create, or did you create a report through Cellbrite, the software, that would show you all of Mr. O'Keefe's call logs?
Yes, I did.
And when I use the term call logs, what does that mean?
The call logs are the calls that the phone receives.
How do you create a report from Cellbrite? Can you just walk us through that process briefly?
Yep. So in the program, you can go in and select the calls from it and export it into different formats: PDF, XML, HTML, or you can create a portable case and extract them all as a portable case that we would see on my computer.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Showing you a document of Mr. O'Keefe's call logs. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
And what is it?
It is the call logs. Just want to make sure it's between John O'Keefe and the defendant from, just want to see the dates, the 28th, January 20th, 2022 to January 29th, 2022.
Would this contain all the phone calls from his phone data for the calls between those two parties that night?
Yes, that's what I created.
Thank you. I can move this as an exhibit, please.
Okay. So,
If I could, Your Honor, just want to compare the issue.
okay.
Thank you, Mr. Grille. Your Honor, consent.
Okay.
Oh, so then Mr. Alessi will be doing cross. I think we already knew that. We already knew that, but it's just they haven't crossed him yet. Okay. Yeah. So these are objections.
You captured all of the phone calls between two parties on that last document. Can you also do that with chats?
Yes, that's true.
And did you do that in this case?
Yes, I did.
Did you create a document of chats between the phones of the defendant and Mr. O'Keefe for after midnight for the evening hours of January 29, 2002?
Yes, I did.
May I approach?
Yes.
You recognize that document, sir?
Yes, I do.
And can you tell us what that is?
These are the texts from the defendant to John O'Keefe. Yes.
For January 29, 2022?
Yes, that's correct. So I'm sorry.
I move this as an exhibit, Your Honor.
Okay.
No objection, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Exhibit 24.
A person named Jen McCabe.
Yes, I did.
Did you create a Cellbrite report?
Yes, I did.
May I approach?
Yes.
Okay, so this is foundational. I'm gonna jump ahead. They're just identifying it. Okay. Eventually, they're going to start showing some of these text messages here. Okay, text exchange.
January 29th, 2022.
There they are. All right, guys, here we go.
Your Honor, move this into evidence.
Okay.
Exhibit 27.
Data from the defendant's phone from January 29, 2022.
What are you referring? I did make some reports from the defendant's phone.
What's a call log report?
Again, the call log report is the calls that the party makes to another phone. So it's going to show everyone they've called or attempted to call.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
It's 22.
No objection, Your Honor. What we just introduced into evidence is the entire call log of calls to anybody and everybody to and from for that period of time.
Yes.
That's fair to say?
Yes, that's correct.
And then can you further isolate calls between just two parties?
Yes, you can. You can search by phone number or name.
And did you do that with the defendant's records for some parties?
Yes, I did.
Did you isolate phone calls between the defendant and Ms. McCabe for the evening of January 29, 2022?
Yes, I did.
May I approach?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Defendant and Ms. Roberts for the night of January 29th
Okay.
Show what it is.
Foundational, getting it in. That's what she said.
to isolate and produce.
Have to put evidence in cases in Massachusetts, okay?
Oh, interesting.
On January
So
29th.
even the judge is acknowledging that this is just kind of laying the foundation, getting it in.
I will move this to evidence, please. No objection, Your Honor.
Okay. Jurors, this is the way we have to put evidence in cases in Massachusetts, okay?
To the 31.
Okay.
And a person by the name of Ingrid on the morning of January 29th, 2022.
Yes, I did.
May I approach?
Yes.
So did you make that report?
Yes, this is on January 29th, 2022.
Thank you. And move this to evidence, please. No objection, Your Honor.
Thank you.
To the 32.
Yeah, we'll see that.
Great. We're taking a recess. Okay, let's jump ahead. Do-do-do-do-do, okay. Oh my God. Ooh, Gary.
Items I'd like you to recognize. Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
Would ask it to be marked simply for identification, please.
Okay. Right.
To the D for identification.
Thank you.
Trooper, you shared with us that you downloaded the extraction of the phones that you identified and you made reports based on specific identified features. For example, a conversation between two people.
Yeah, so I didn't do the extraction of Jen's phone, but I made those reports with the PDFs from the data extraction.
Relative to Mr. O'Keefe and the defendant's phones, you created a document that provided us the phone calls between them on January 29th.
Yes, that's correct.
And separately, you also provided a document that included all of the chats or text messages between John O'Keefe and the defendant on January 29, 2022.
Yes, it also included the 28th.
Thank you.
Yes.
And in that compilation, did you put together or do you create or review a PowerPoint of those?
Yes, I did.
And what was the point of that?
Just to show the texts and calls in a chronological order, because that way you're not looking at two different documents, trying to compare and contrast the calls to text messages when each is coming in.
And did you begin that PowerPoint presentation with a call at 2:16:10 on January 28, 2022?
Yes, that's correct.
And other additional chats or text messages earlier that morning?
Yes, there's a handful starting around 9:45 a.m.
May I
Yes.
approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Uh,
I can introduce this as an exhibit, Your Honor.
Get it up.
Okay.
Get it up.
All
Get
right,
it
I've
up.
discussed it sidebar. If you don't have them,
apologize if I misspelled things or state things. Start time, all right. It's a little different than the format I had before. All right, this is from Karen Reed to John O'Keefe. You've really hurt me this time. This was sent.
Yay! All right. So this is exactly why remember the whole thing from the Commonwealth, they wanted to have readers come in. You're going to hear from him. He hates doing this. For anyone who missed it last year, he even said, "Kill me now." Like, he does not want to be doing this. Okay. So because of that, his inflection, he's the perfect person for the job, right? Because it's going to be very monotone. There's like no inflection. It's not suggestive at all. Now, last time they showed the text on the screen, and we might still end up seeing that. I'm not sure, but it's going to be the same text messages, I would imagine. And we actually did, I think, an entire, if not more than one live stream where I saved all of the, where it showed the text on the screen. I actually saved images of all that. And then we went through it together and read all of them and broke it down in detail, because sometimes it's like you would answer before the next question, the other text comes in or whatever. And we went through and tried to analyze what the fuck was going on. It was pretty interesting, just from like what's going on in the relationship standpoint. We did that with John and Karen's messages, and then also the Higgins ones. But anyway, let's see what they do here.
Sent at 9:49 a.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to defendant. I'm sorry.
I'll say quickly, let me back it up to the beginning of the conversation. I will say also, we had Fender join us for that, and Fender is our girlfriend who's also a psychologist, so that was good.
It's a little different than the format I had before. All right, this is from Karen Reed to John O'Keefe. You have really hurt me this time. This was sent at 9:49, 20 seconds a.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to defendant. I'm sorry, this has been an issue with me for 8 years. It physically hurts me to see everyone else in their life do things for them, and I'm forced to always be the bad guy. This is sent at 10:02, 56 a.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I'm not the same as everyone else. Most of the time I try to do what is healthy/smart for them. More importantly, I try to support you in what you need. You just lashed out at me and said terrible things. I don't know how you've gotten to this point with me when I'm just trying my hardest. You made your point and continue to beat me down. I have a lot going on too. Physically, I'm falling apart and trying to get answers and help. 10:09:49 a.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I am just your girlfriend. I am not a perfect parent. I'm trying very hard and sometimes treat them nothing like I used to. 10:46 a.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, I know, I'm sorry for lashing out. I'm just hurting and struggle daily with them.
So what I will say, I just looked ahead on the other feed. They do end up showing some of these on the screen. It's a choice, this seems like. The Commonwealth made a choice. They didn't want to put these on the screen this time, I guess. These are not included in the PowerPoint. The PowerPoint will have them on the screen and we will get to see them. Now, what's interesting is last time, these were on the screen. All of these were on the screen. And we did get to actually see these and then break down and talk about what this conversation was.
I always feel like I'm failing at this parenting thing. I wasn't built for this. 10:12 a.m. on the 28th. The defendant to John O'Keefe. Kaylee isn't perfect, but everything wonderful about her is because of you. 12:21:36 p.m. on the 28th.
I remember seeing all these.
From John O'Keefe to the defendant, an emoji is sent at 12:21:59 on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, it's true. I know she's her mother's daughter, but she wouldn't be so bright and successful if she lived with anyone else. 12:22:51 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, wow, Kristen just sent 2 back-to-back messages to not lose your faith in the kids. 12:31:28 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, or in yourself, at 12:31:41 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, there's 2 emojis sent at 12:32:06 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, no, and there's 2 emojis. Life can pick you up sometimes. Please be happy with them and put away your frustrations for the rest of the day. And be so proud of yourself, JJ. And that's 12:33:35 p.m. on the 28th.
Now, if
From
I
John O'Keefe
recall, what we can do is, if you guys want, we can actually go back and look. I recall, again, last time this was all on the screen. If I recall, the formatting that they had for the emojis doesn't show the emojis. It shows like the label, if I recall correctly, where it says like what the emoji is called. So the difference, though, is that you learn what the emojis are. Now, this is actually important, right? The Commonwealth, apparently, they're having him do it this way. It's like an emoji is sent, and we don't know what the emojis are. And the jury doesn't know what the emojis are. But last time, if I recall, you at least you either get the image of the emoji or you get the text of what the emoji represents. So that's being left out. It'll be interesting to see what happens when he gets crossed on this stuff too.
Defendant, that's what bothers me more than anything. Should have sent Peg's or Sarah's W-2s. We're all equal guardians. 1:18:21 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, maybe you can call someone. 1:21:55 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, like who? 1:46:42 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, what time are you coming here? 1:47:38 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, it's another emoji sent, 2:05:30 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I don't know what time, feel kind of out of it, just trying to clear my head, 2:06:07 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, he writes, okay, 2:06:25 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, text me when you guys settle in later, 2:06:44 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, sure, 2:06:58 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to, oh, no, it's cut off here, sir. Yeah.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
That must be where the, so,
Would it
sorry.
be helpful if I take it out and combine the feed?
I believe it, yeah, it goes to the next one, so I'll start. Yeah, sorry.
With the court's permission, we'll begin the PowerPoint.
Yes.
Should I delete it?
Okay. The phone call sequences, and then we'll start with the first line. This is from the defendant to John O'Keefe. I feel pretty shitty about how this morning went down. I know you said sorry, but it really stung, especially when I've been trying pretty hard lately. I feel like a loser turning around, just coming back over after everything you said. 2:10 p.m. on the 28th.
So I found, by the way, I found the video where we read previously all of these, because again, the parts that he just read, we actually had them on the screen. So we can pull that up if you guys want, and go through it. I think I have, let me see. Yeah, there it is, the complete text messages. Yeah, I have that. So if we want to watch it, we can, or I can always just link it in the video's description of this video.
From John O'Keefe to the defendant, I'm not sure what you want me to do. I said I'm sorry and I was out of line. If you prefer to stay home, I totally get it. 2:16 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, things in my own life have been difficult too, 2:33 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, I know. 2:40 p.m.
What is this new camera? I have no idea. The new cam, I have no idea. Yep, no idea. Like on the court TV feed, just to show you guys, like in contrast. It looks like this. And honestly, it might be better actually to use this feed because you can see these a lot better. Let me actually do that. Let's just do it this way. Okay, let's watch it from here where we can actually see these on screen bigger. That might be better.
The phone call sequences, and then we'll start with the first line. This is from the defendant to John O'Keefe. I feel pretty shitty about how this morning went down. I know you said sorry, but it really stung, especially when I've been trying pretty hard lately. I feel like a loser turning around, just coming back over after everything you said. 2:10 p.m. on the 28th.
So, okay. So again, like looking at this, right? It sounds like he said something shitty to her, right? And again, I almost want to pull up my other fucking video because we get a full context and we can see it. It's easier when you can see it. But anyway, so she's like, I feel like a loser. Let me just, fucking hell, let me just pull it up. I'm just going to bother me otherwise. Let's just do this the right way. All right, hang on. Or we could do it the wrong way. No. Okay. Are we playing? Or are we not playing? Okay. So hold on. Okay, this is where it starts. All right. So this is, he just read all these, but now we can, hold on, let me do this correctly. Welcome, Camerano. All right. So now we can actually see these and read them and it's easier. Okay. You have really hurt me this time. And this will also answer the question about how they have the emojis. So this is the same thing, right? Just they didn't do the Commonwealth made a decision. This is what we need to keep in mind. The Commonwealth made a decision to not put these on the PowerPoint and to start the PowerPoint with, where was it? To start the PowerPoint with, I feel pretty shitty about how this morning went down. I think that's the first one, the one where she says she feels like a loser. So when we get to that, we can switch back over, but just keep in mind that everything we're looking at now, the Commonwealth didn't want to put these on the screen, okay? So from Karen, you've really hurt me this time. From John to Karen, I'm sorry, this has been an issue with me for 8 years. It physically hurts me to see everyone else in their lives do things for them, and I'm forced to always be the bad guy. And then Karen to John, I'm not the same as everyone else. Most of the time I try to do what is healthy or smart for them. More importantly, I try to support you in what you need. You just lashed out at me and said terrible things. I don't know how you've gotten to this point with me when I'm just trying my hardest. You made your point and continue to beat me down. I have a lot going on too. Physically, I'm falling apart and trying to get answers and help. And then I'm just your girlfriend. I'm not a perfect parent. I'm trying very hard and sometimes treat them nothing like I used to. Remember, blue is Karen, green is John. And then he says, I know, I'm sorry for lashing out. I'm just hurting and struggle daily with them. He's talking about the kids. Always feel like I'm failing at this parenting thing. I wasn't built for this. This is why I think it helps to have this, right? Because here's the thing, the way that he just read them without these being on the screen for the jury, and it's like if they just don't, if they tune it out and they don't hear who said what or they don't remember, one could think that this is Karen saying something like this, like implying that she's a shitty mom, but it's actually not. This is John. This is why, and I'm wondering if that's why they made that choice, right? Because here you can see clearly from John to Karen, and then you have the blue and the green. And, you know, I think it's helpful if you want the jurors to understand who's saying what, this is helpful, right? And then Karen says, Kaylee isn't perfect, but everything wonderful about her is because of you. So she's paying John a compliment. Then John says, I know, I'm sorry for, oh wait, I already read that one. Hang on. Okay. And then this would be where there's an emoji because there's nothing there. And then Karen says, it's true. I know she's her mother's daughter, but she wouldn't be so bright and successful if she lived with anyone else. Again, another compliment to Tim. Wow, Kristen just sent you 2 back-to-back messages to not lose your faith in the kids, okay? Or in yourself. John sends another emoji. Then Karen says, no. And so there's an emoji there, but it looks like the symbol for what? Femininity? So I don't know if that's just because the computer thing, the Celebrate doesn't. I mean, I can't imagine that's what that actually means. And I feel like last year we tried to actually figure out what these actually were. It's like a code. Anyway, not like she's speaking code, but like we have to figure out what the symbol means. Life can pick you up sometimes. Please be happy with them and put away your frustrations for the rest of the day and be so proud of yourself, JJ. You guys see what I mean with that symbol? Oh, I figured out later. It says, that is so funny. Okay, I figured out later. Stay tuned for the answer. Well, maybe I should unmute it. Okay. Then John says, that bothers me more than anything. Should have sent Paige's, or sorry, should have sent Peg's or Sarah's W-2s. We are all equal guardians. Maybe you can call someone, she says. What am I doing here? So this is a video. Let me unmute it so I can hear what my thought process was, because I think I'm trying to figure out what the symbol is. Hold on. Let me see. Scrolling song. Okay. Again, this is from the video I made when I did this at the time, but apparently I've got a purpose here. So in trial, it went from this message here, where it ends physically, I'm falling apart and trying to get answers and help at 10:09 a.m. It jumped from there to here at 1:55 p.m. So now we're back where we were at trial. Maybe you can call someone. Another blank message. What time are you coming here? Another blank one. Okay, so then Karen says, I don't know what time, feel kind of out of it, just trying to clear my head. That's it. Oh, so what it was I got my hands on the full exhibit. Okay, how did I do that? Anyway, I got my hands on the full exhibit. Interesting, but not all of them were read at trial, but they did have this on the screen, but they just scrolled past some of them. 2 o'clock or 2:06 p.m. Hear Frodo. And then John says, okay, text me when you guys settle in later. And again, all of these were read at the trial. And then we have another blank one. I feel pretty shitty about how this morning went down. I know you said sorry, but it really stung, especially when I've been trying pretty hard lately. I feel like a loser turning around, just coming back over after everything you said. So this is where the PowerPoint starts in the trial now. But now I'm wondering, what was it that I figure out about that symbol? Let me just see if I can find, because now I'm like, what was it? Hang on. Do I put more text so that I can find it easily? What was the symbol? What was the symbol? Oh, fuck. I'll have to just find that part at some point and then for my own edification, because now it's going to bother me. What was that symbol? But I do figure it out later, but I guess I don't have it timestamped. Okay. Anyway. So now we can go back to where we were with the trial. See, as you can, so y'all look at the one on the screen, and now, see, is exactly where we are here now. Okay.
Just coming back over after everything you said.
Yeah, Frodo's
2:10 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, not sure what you want me to do. I said, I'm sorry, and I was out of line. If you prefer to stay home, I totally get it. 2:17:16 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, things in my own life have been difficult too, 33 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, I know, 2:17:40 p.m. on the 28th. At 2:17:45 p.m., the defendant calls John. The phone call is answered and they speak for 2 minutes, 22 seconds. 2:23:02 p.m., the defendant calls John. That's again answered. At 1:00, and they speak for 1 minute, 2 seconds. At 2:24:17 p.m., the defendant calls John and the call is rejected. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, tell me if you're interested in someone else. Can't think of any other reason you've been like this. 2:25:18 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, nope. 2:25:33 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, things haven't been great between us for a while. Ever consider that? 2:26:03 p.m. on the 28th. At 2:28:40 p.m., the defendant calls John. That call is rejected.
Mr. Guarino, can you explain to us the difference between not answered and rejected?
Yes, so if the call is not answered, that means the call rang out and goes to voicemail. If the call is rejected, that is someone actively hitting the send to voicemail button to disable the call, to stop it from ringing. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, kids are here, not in the mood to talk. 2:29:03 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, so you're not into it anymore. That's fine, but I don't want to keep trying and you keep treating me like this. 2:29:12 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I'm trying to hug and kiss you this morning and you whack me in the face with a pillow.
We laughed about this last time, right? So that's from Karen to John. I'm trying to hug and kiss you this morning. You whacked me in the face with a pillow. We were laughing about this because like the context matters, right? That could be either like she's trying to be lovey-dovey and he's like, leave me alone, I'm trying to sleep. So he smacks her in the face with a pillow. Or it could be thinking back to The Room, right? For those of you guys who saw that, right? The pillow fights. Or it could be, I'm trying to hug and kiss you this morning. And like, it's like playful, like pillow fighting, right? The context here matters. It sounds like it was more like the former because she took it as offensive. He's like, leave me alone, I'm trying to sleep type of whacking, if you will.
2:29:59 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, last night you're basically like, yeah, what about when we talk about the future? So why don't you just admit you're not into so much anymore?
And this is where, again, I'm remembering from last time. This is where we were like, okay, this is where it seems like her insecurities in herself or whatever, or in the relationship are starting to kind of come out a little bit.
2:30:23 p.m. on the 28th.
Twiz, are you? Oh, sorry, you're not Twiz. You're Northwest. Yes, I talked about this hours ago. What? How did? I'm never the first to find like to. Yes, Lori Daybell gave another interview. Yes, we talked about this hours ago. I know you weren't here, Northwest. Also welcome. Yes, to the Arizona True Crime people. Now, what we're gonna do is after we finish with this, we're gonna watch it in the Discord because they will take the stream down. The Arizona True Crime people. She only talks to them apparently, but we're gonna watch it when we finish this, and we'll watch it in the Discord. Yep.
From John O'Keefe to the defendant, not how it went down, but okay. 2:30:26 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, can you please admit your head is out of the game with us? 2:30:52 p.m. on the 28th.
Again, she's fishing for, she's seeking affirmation that, like, these questions from her, I just remember thinking this last time too, these questions from her are more like trying to get him to say that it's not the case. That's what I think she wants, affirmation. Yeah, no, that's, it's all good, Northwest. It's all good. I thought you were Twiz at first because of the orange. And I was like, Twiz, because like Twiz, it's like, you know, Twiz is here and he was here for when I said it. I remember, like, he literally was here. But, and it's like, so it would be so Twizzy, right? Anyway, but no. And then I was like, oh, wait, you're not Twiz, you're Northwest. And yeah, she is crazy. Have you watched it already? Also, we're going to be doing we're going to be watching the juror interviews tomorrow as well. I haven't set the stream up, but yeah, I was waiting because I knew people were going to speak out, and sure enough, they have been. So
John O'Keefe, the defendant, sick of always arguing and fighting. It's been weekly for several months now. So yeah, I'm not quick to jump back into being lovey-dovey as you apparently. 2:32:28 p.m. on the 28th. At 2:32:47 p.m., the defendant calls John. That call is rejected. John O'Keefe to the defendant, OMG, stop calling. 2:32:54 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, then why would you start with me this morning? 2:32:58 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, you're setting me up to fail. 2:33:05 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, you started a number of fights from your end. 2:33:26 p.m. on the 28th. And John O'Keefe to the defendant, I've explained it a few times already, not doing it again. 2:33:31 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, so you're not into this anymore. 2:33:41 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, not into fighting all the time, correct. 2:34:03 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, if you tell me you're interested in someone else, you will never hear from me again. You can have all the space in the world. 2:34:11 p.m. on the 28th.
So again, and I remember thinking this last time, oh, we can actually see that emoji this time. So it sounds like she's trying, again, it's almost like that thing that you do if you're really insecure. She sounds like she, is trying to give him literally every opportunity to break up with her, right? Like she's almost like trying to get him to say it, and he's not saying it. This keeps on going where she keeps saying stuff like this.
We'll never hear from you again. You can have all the space in the world. 2:34:11 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, he sends an emoji. 2:34:19 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, then stop starting with me. 2:34:20 p.m. on the 28th. 2:34:29 p.m. The defendant calls John. He rejects the call. John O'Keefe to the defendant. I'm not answering. Stop calling. 2:34:42 p.m. on the 28th.
What do you mean, Northwest? Do you mean that if she has somebody else, or if he has somebody else, or that if anybody, like the only reason people break up is if there is somebody else? What do you mean by that?
From the defendant to John O'Keefe, can you please answer after how you treated me earlier? 2:34:43 p.m. on the 28th. 2:34:54 p.m. The defendant calls John. That's rejected. John O'Keefe to the defendant. Kaylee is right here. 2:35:02 p.m. on the 28th. The defendant to John O'Keefe. You start a rager with me out of nowhere and then tell me you're sick of fighting with me. 2:35:41 p.m. on the 28th. The defendant to John O'Keefe. I'm going to grab a drink in a bit. 2:38:14 p.m. on the 28th.
Now, if I remember correctly, there's some messages that are missing there. Again, I had apparently last year I had the full exhibit because I remember thinking that seemed weird, and it looks weird, right? It's like out of the blue, but it's not. I feel like we should just watch the whole fucking video. There's things that are missing. There's things that are missing. Let me just see if I can find it. Oh my God. Hang on. Again, this is the full exhibit. Let me see. No, there's not anything in between. Never mind. Okay, so I probably then said, this is weird. Hold on. Let me just see if I can read my own mind. I probably said, this is weird, and there's nothing there. We did also speculate a good fair amount. Hold on. Start a rager with me out of nowhere, and then tell me you're sick of fighting with me. So she's basically calling him a hypocrite. This is just my interpretation, obviously. I'm going to grab a drink in a bit. And we did also speculate a good fair amount on this as well when we covered this on the live stream. For anyone who's interested, again, it's all time-stamped. Oh, I can't remember. What did we speculate about? Fuck, I don't remember. Damn it. Oh, right. Yeah, but then she goes on. Right. She tries everything. She tries everything to get him to I don't think she's trying to get him to break up with her. I think she's trying to find out if he still cares about her. And so she's giving him, so she goes with that route, right? But then she goes all these other routes. Like there's a bunch in a row where she's really trying to like bait him, if you will, into, I think it's really more like seeking affirmation. That's my personal interpretation. Like, so you're not into it anymore. That's fine. But I mean, I just scrolled to a random place and there's one, but I don't want you to keep treating, right? So it's like, you see what I mean? You're not into it anymore. That's fine. He's not saying that. Like, that's why this is wild to me, right? Oh, maybe this is actually what we haven't gotten to yet. Hold on. Yeah, there's the bit about the loser. Things in my life have been difficult too, you know. Tell me if you're interested in, okay, tell me if you're interested in someone else. Can't think of any other reason you've been like this. And then he says, nope. Things haven't been great between us for a while. Ever consider that? Because they're here, not in the mood to talk. So you're not into it anymore. That's fine. Now, he didn't say that. He literally didn't say that, right? This is that thing. So you're not into it anymore. Like, hold on. What did I say at the time? This is from last year again. Between these two messages here between 2:26 and 2:29 p.m. she was calling him. So he texted her. That's the other thing. When I was going through this, I also had all the times that they were making phone calls in between the text messages. So we're not in the mood to talk. So you're not into it anymore. That's fine. But I don't want to keep trying and you keep treating me like this. I'm trying to hug and kiss you this morning and you whack me in the face with a pillow. So for anyone who's interested, we did talk about this quite a bit on the live stream where we covered all of these text messages. Yeah, we talked about this. That pillow thing is fucking funny. And again, she tries again. So why don't you just admit you're not into it so much anymore? She tries again. It's like you would think that what she wants, right? Given the fact she's saying, it's almost like you would think what she wants is for him to say, yep, I'm not into it, right? But he's not saying it. Not how it went down, but okay. That's in reference to the pillow thing. And then he says, sick of always arguing, fighter, but, and it's just not quite as quick to jump back into being his lovey-dovey. But again, he's not saying he's not into it anymore, as in it's over type thing, right? Isn't it interesting? It's very interesting. See, I can't relate to this. I've never had a relationship like this. I find this very interesting. It's like a movie. It's like people acting in a movie to me. Like this is all very this is very much not a part of anything I would be doing. You're setting me up to fail. This is so crazy. Let me see what I said about this at the time. All right. Oh my God, stop calling. So we know she calls a bunch of times. Karen says, then why would you start with me this morning? You're setting me up to fail, exclamation point. You start a number of fights from your end. Never a good idea to blame people. I've explained it a few times already, not doing it again. So you're not into
All right.
True. This anymore. She says again. She says you're not into this anymore. Crazy. It's at 2:33 p.m. Right? Not into fighting all the time. Correct. Yeah, wants acknowledgement. Exactly. She's seeking affirmation. Yep. He wants to make it clear. He's not saying he's not into her. He's just not into the fighting. If you tell me you're interested in someone else, you will never hear from me again. You can have all the space in the world. She's giving him like an easy out if he wants it, essentially here, I think. And that's blank. Then stop starting with me, she says. I am not answering. Stop calling. Okay, so she's been trying to call him some more. Can you please answer after how you treated me earlier? Kaylee is right here. He doesn't want to fight in front of the kids. You start a rager with me out of nowhere and then tell me you're sick of fighting with me. So she's basically calling him a hypocrite. This is just my interpretation, obviously. I'm going to grab a drink in a bit. And we did also speculate a good fair amount on this as well when we covered this on the live stream. For anyone who's interested, again, it's all time-stamped. Can you please answer? No, Karen, not sure why you need to announce that you're grabbing a drink, but have fun. That's at 2:39 p.m. Funny one. Seeing if you want to meet me later, she says. Can you please call me? So she wants him to know that it's just because she wants to meet up. That's why she said the thing about going to grab a drink. Have to take them to the doctor. He has practice. Yeah, 5 minutes, Karen says. My father just walked in. I'm going to switch back over to the court from today. This is the point being, though, the thing we were watching, right, is the full exhibit of the text messages. I should link this. Because yeah, it's the entire exhibit of all the text messages. So yeah. All right. I'm going to call the plumber. I know. We talked a lot about that last year. Okay. Here we go.
John O'Keefe, I'm going to grab a drink in a bit. 2:38:14 p.m. on the 28th. 2:38:42 p.m. The defendant calls John. That call is rejected. The defendant to John O'Keefe, can you please answer? 2:38:52 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, no, Karen. Not sure why you need to announce that you're going. Not sure why you need to announce that you're grabbing a drink, but have fun. 2:39:46 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, seeing if you want to meet me later. 2:40:22 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, can you please call me? 2:40:32 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, have to take him to the doctor. He has practice. 2:40:55 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, yeah, 5 minutes. 2:41:17 p.m. on the 28th. At 2:43:01 p.m., the defendant calls John. It's not answered. At 2:43:45 p.m., the defendant calls John. The call is rejected. John O'Keefe to the defendant. My father just walked in, 2:43:58 p.m. on the 28th. The defendant to John O'Keefe. Okay, can you please call me for 2 minutes? 2:44:14 p.m. on the 28th.
Bargaining. Call me just for 2 minutes.
John O'Keefe to the defendant. Not right now.
Not right now.
2:44:23 p.m. on the 28th. The defendant to John O'Keefe. I'm there when anyone else needs me. 2:44:26 p.m. on the 28th. At 2:45:32 p.m., the defendant calls John. The call is rejected. The defendant calls Mr. O'Keefe. Yes, John, you gave me utter grief this morning. I'd like you to call me for a minute. 2:46:16 p.m. on the 28th. The defendant to John O'Keefe. I've been trying to get over the hump with is arguing, and now you tell me you're not into doing things, and you don't want to fight weekly, but fly off the handle at 8 a.m. with me, like you're setting me up to fail. 2:47:08 p.m. on the 28th. The defendant to John O'Keefe. I'm dealing with my own personal crisis over things I have zero control over. I'd like to lean on you too sometimes. Instead, I just hear everything I've done wrong. 2:48:34 p.m. on the 28th. At 2:56 p.m., the defendant calls John. The call is rejected. At 2:51:13 p.m., the defendant calls John. It's rejected.
I don't understand this type of thing, right? I just don't understand. It's like I just don't understand. I just don't understand it. I just don't understand.
2:52:37 p.m. John calls the defendant. It's not answered. At 2:53:56, the defendant calls.
He meant to say defendant calls John. Obviously.
Calls John. Again, not answered.
It was 2 minutes. Now it's 2 seconds.
The defendant, John O'Keefe. You seriously cannot pick up the phone for 2 seconds. 2:54:13 p.m. 2:58:05 p.m. The defendant calls John. It's rejected. At 2:59:13, John calls the defendant. The call is answered, and they speak for 4 minutes 59 seconds. From the defendant to John O'Keefe. Why don't you meet me at Hillside at 4:30/5, 3:08:55 p.m. John O'Keefe to the defendant sends an emoji.
The eye roll emoji. Ouch.
At 3:10:08 p.m. on the 28th.
Funny that one's included though, right? The other emojis are not.
From the defendant to John O'Keefe, or whenever you get, or whenever you get everyone settled. 3:10:35 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant. Like I said, doctor now, and he has practice till 6. If you want to go start drinking, then go for it. 3:36:21 p.m. on the 28th.
That sounds like sarcasm. Again, I cannot. Oh. I mean, just unhealthy communication is what we're seeing here, I will say.
Defendant to John O'Keefe. I didn't know the times of his practice. 3:36:40 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe. I just want to give you space at the house without me there. So rather meet you out than meet at the house. 3:37:01 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant. Yeah, well, now there's a 72-year-old taking up shop on my couch. 3:37:36 p.m. on the 28th. The defendant to John O'Keefe. Yeah, that too. 3:37:46 p.m. 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe. Is he going to Collins? 3:38:23 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant. Not tonight. 3:38:32 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe. So do you plan on going out tonight? 3:39:01 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant. Karen, I don't know.
I mean, it's just so funny. Like, okay, if I was the person reading these, I guarantee if I were to go back to my video, I'd probably the way I would be like, I'd be like, Karen, I don't know. That's exactly why he is the perfect reader for this. Because listen, I don't even know how I couldn't possibly do what he does, but we know he does not want to be doing this and he hates his life right now. But listen to how he says it.
From John O'Keefe to the defendant. Karen, I don't know. 3:39.
Wow. Congratulations to him. I'm impressed. I mean, I think that how much he hates his life right now is playing into it, but this is exactly what you want for this in court, right?
9:17 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe.
Exactly. Oh, he's frustrated. Right. John O'Keefe is frustrated. He's like, leave me alone about it for sure. But I just appreciate that the way he's reading it is like monotone.
For the defendant, you're like jonesing to drink, so go. 3:39:43 p.m. on the 28th.
I know, Pat.
From the defendant
No,
to John.
they were denying that. It was one of the only, well, not only, it was a rare occasion where Judge Bev made the right call and made a fair decision, because the outside reader would not be appropriate. But don't worry. I mean, for me, it's like, I can't read these and not give inflection. It's just, I'm a very expressive person, as you guys know. So it's exactly why I would not be the right person for the job.
John O'Keefe. Okay, well, after how this morning went down, I don't think I need to be back over there with you. Get frustrated at how I am with the kids. Has nothing to do with drinking. 3:40 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe. I am paranoid now that everything I do with them is problematic. So rather see you for a minute without it, kids around. 3:24 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant. What's your plan at 4:47:16 p.m.
Oh,
on the
that was
28th?
Karen. Hold on. I want to go ahead and read into that text. So, all right, she's doing that thing. God damn it. I just don't understand people. I'm paranoid now that everything I do with them is problematic. What is the word for that? It's like making a mountain out of a molehill, right? Like, we know they had a little thing about the spoiling of the kids, right? But it's like, I'm trying to figure out what her goal is here, right? Like, the making a mountain out of a molehill. Like, what is the goal here to act like she's really upset so that he does something she wants? I don't know. I can't figure it out. What do you guys think the goal is with this? She's making, I mean, it's first of all, it's making a mountain out of a molehill. Like, is it to get him to do things, to do what she wants, I guess, maybe? Because, like, so, okay, remember, she's been trying to call him. Okay. He says something that hurt her feelings. She's been trying to call him. He's not answering. She started with the whole thing. Her first tactic, I guess, was like this whole thing of like, well, if you hate me or you're breaking up with me and da-da-da, right? And like that whole thing, that didn't work. He's still not answering. So I guess she's switching gears over to like, I don't know. What do you guys think? This is interesting. I mean, I just can't relate to this type of thing. I mean, couldn't agree more, for sure. Definitely agree with that. But she's not, that's a very mature thing. Her goal here, I don't think, is worried about the kids seeing them fight. I don't think that's what she means by this, given the context. I think it's more like making a mountain out of a molehill. Making it seem worse than it is. Just like how she was doing before, right? Like, oh, so you're just not into it anymore. I understand. It was like, he's not saying that. It's like a similar type of thing. Does that make sense? I don't know. It's weird.
Put it, kids around. 3:24 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant. What's your plan at 4:47:16 p.m. on the 28th? From the defendant to John O'Keefe. Don't have one. 4:50:09 p.m. on the 28th.
Now, I wonder what I said in my other video about that part. Let me see if I can pull that up. Because again, with the other thing, I had the full, this is with the full exhibit. Let me just see what I said about that. Again, so now she's really hampering on the kids. So I'm in the right area. Let me just see here. Because this has all that, this is, again, there's ones that are missing for that they show in court, but this has all of them. Okay, let me see what I said about this. Okay. The time drinking. Again, none of these messages came in at all. So I am paranoid now that everything I do with them is problematic. So rather see you. Interesting, because this one didn't come in last time and it came in this time. For a minute without the kids around. What's your plan? He says at 4:47 p.m. Don't have one. So still home? Yes. Okay, so I didn't make a comment on that at the time, but it is interesting that these did not come in last time and they're coming in this time. So there you go. Okay, now we'll go back here. All right, there's the don't have one.
John O'Keefe to the defendant. So still home. 4:26 p.m. on the 28th. The defendant to John O'Keefe. Yes. 4:45 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant. We just got home, waiting to see what Papa decides here, or else I have to get Patrick at 6. 4:45 p.m. on the 28th. The defendant to John O'Keefe. Okay. 5:55 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant. So are you staying home or coming here? 5:23 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, waiting to see what you end up doing. I don't want to hang out at the house too much, like I said.
Right now, I remember what I was thinking. Okay. So, okay. I think she's trying to punish him. She's using the kids as an excuse to why she can't come over. Here's the deal. He wants her to come over And she wants an apology from him first. And actually, that goes back to the very first one earlier where she's like, I feel like a loser if I just come over. That right there shows you her mindset. Her mindset is not about kids. It's not whatever. Her mindset was, I feel like a loser if I just come over after what you said to me. She wants an apology. He's not apologized or whatever, right? So she's going through all these different things. And now it's like, well, I can't come over because look, I fuck it up if I'm around the kids. To try to punish him, as in that's why she can't come over. That's what she's doing. But what she really wants is an apology. This is just silliness, right?
5:03:40 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John
There
O'Keefe,
it is.
I think it's clear.
Again, now she's morphed into, so he didn't say anything. So now she's just, again, amping it up, right? So before it's like, oh, the relationship's over because there's somebody else. It's like, no, that's not it. And then it's like, okay, you're just not into me anymore. It's like, no, that's not it either. And now it's like, okay, now the kids are slow. It's the kids, dude.
Clear me around the kids. Excuse me. I think it's clear me around with the kids. Around is slowly killing our relationship. And our relationship is much more important to me.
Interesting.
5:04:16 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant. Well, there's a blizzard coming, so we'll be inside all weekend. 5:04:19 p.m. on the 28th. The defendant to John O'Keefe. It will be over by noon tomorrow. 5:04:44 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant. Don't think so. 5:05:27 p.m. on the 28th. The defendant to John O'Keefe. I don't want to keep having this constant conflict of the dynamic of the four of us. The harder I try, the more it kills our relationship as a couple. It feels like utter shit to be in that position. Rather just meet you out for drinks when you figure out what your night looks like. 5:06:45 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant. Well, I have no idea what's going on, so do what you want. 5:07:34 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant. Needs to figure out what everyone here is doing. All I know now is Madeline is coming over. No clue about Patrick yet, or if Papa is planning on hanging for a few more hours. 5:09:29 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe. Okay, well, when you know the story, and if you want me to come up, let me know. 5:12:36 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant. No, Karen, you decide what you want to do. 5:13:18 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe. I know your heart isn't in this anymore. I felt it for a while, and especially lately.
Exactly.
I'm willing to try more, but not if you approaching the point of indifference. If you want me to come up and you can head out for a while, then say so when you know what your father is doing. 5:14:23 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant. You come up and I head out. Really? Emoji. 5:15:48. John O'Keefe to the defendant. I've told you already, I don't bounce back as quickly as you do after we have a battle. 5:16:52 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, no, head out together with an emoji. 5:17:49 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, or meet out. 5:17:54 on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, gonna send Patrick to Collins tonight. They're picking him up around 7. Mike may hang out too when he brings Matt over. So why don't you just come over? 5:19:42 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, Mike doesn't want to go out for a bit.
Okay, so they're talking about Mike Camerano, who just testified right before him, right?
5:20 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I would like to, in a shit day from the jump. 5:20:33 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, probably 5:20:39 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, I just got sober an hour ago. 5:20:56 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I'll text you, hang with Mike for a few. I don't need to butt in. Text me if/when you think you may head out. 5:25:12 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, can you send me Tim Zoll's contact info, please? 5:26:38 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, I paid the last bill. 5:27:08 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, you didn't have to do that, thanks. 5:27:43 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, are you really not going to accept my friend request?
Wow.
5:32:33 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant,
Wow.
emoji on what,
Wow.
FB? 5:33:01 p.m. on the 28th.
Yeah, I remember finding that notable too because of the time as well. It's like, I remember commenting on that, like, wow. Then again, that did not come in the first trial, and it's coming in this trial because I mean that's not a good look. I mean, for most jurors, and that was John, right, not Karen.
From the defendant to John O'Keefe, yeah, we've been going out for 2 years, 5:33:20 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, I haven't gone on. You defriended me over a year ago, I believe. 5:33:48 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, Kerry texted that they're headed out in a bit. 6:05:29 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, okay, 6:14:55 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, she's going to let me know where. 6:17:51 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, so you're going to meet them 6:18:12 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, just presenting it as an option, wouldn't mind hanging out with them for a drink. 6:19 p.m. on the 28th. Sorry. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, is Mike over? 6:27:26 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, yes, 6:29:45 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, sounds you're like good with getting together tonight. 6:31:32 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, was hoping after this morning you'd be interested in smoothing things over with me. 6:32:24 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, told you to come over, but you insisted on meeting me out somewhere. 6:33:44 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, Mike is a little off with me for a while now. I've said that multiple times. 6:34:34 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to Karen, the defendant, time to get over it, Karen. He's fine. He was fine the other night when he came by. 6:38:09 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, yeah, wouldn't mind hanging out with other people, like another female too. 6:39:09 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, where are you meeting them? 6:39:28 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I don't have plans with them. She just said they're headed out in a bit,
Mike Camerano, the witness who testified right before this witness.
and we'll text when they land somewhere. 6:39:52 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, if you want to go out with Mike solo, that's fine. Just let me know. 6:40:17 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, I already told you what you should do. Not going to keep doing this. 6:41:07 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I asked to let me know if you guys are going to head out. I haven't been out for drinks this week and had a shit week and a shit day. And I dread Kaylee or Pat is going to get chatty with me the second I walk in, and that is going to irritate you. 6:43:21 on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, Pat is leaving. Kay is with Mad Cam.
So again, what she's saying here, and I dread Kaylee or Pat, is going to get chatty with me the second I walk in, and it's going to irritate you. Again, she's trying to get, dude, it's this whole thing, right? But like, instead of him saying, no, I won't be irritated, right? He's like, the way he responds is so practical, like, well, they're not here, so you don't have to worry about it. But that's not her issue. Her issue is him getting irritated, right? It's just so stupid. So stupid.
From John O'Keefe to the defendant, Pat is leaving. Kay is with Mad Cam. 6:44:02 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, I'll text Chris then. 6:46:44 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, we're headed out shortly. What's your plan, Karen? 7:06:13 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, do you want me to join or no? 7:06:37 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, yes, wasn't sure if you were meeting the Currans. 7:07:04 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, they are not out drinking yet. 7:07:40 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, where are you headed? 7:09:22 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, trying to decide maybe McCarthy's. 7:14:48 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, okay then, let me know where you decide. I'm still down in Enfield. 7:21:50 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, text me when you leave. Still waiting on McKinney's. 7:22:28 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I'm having issues with my hot water, so had to text someone to take a look. 7:24:11 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, an emoji, you're trying to piss me off. 7:25:35 on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, hope your plumber buddy that you texted is hot.
Okay, now here's when he starts acting like a child as well. Dude, I cannot with this dumb bullshit. Okay, so I have thoughts on this whole plumber thing. swear to God. So she's having issues with her hot water. I had to text someone to take a look. And his response, you trying to piss me off. The fuck, though. Hope your plumber buddy that you texted is hot. Ugh. If she was trying to make him jealous, it worked. But like, A, that's dumb bullshit. Don't do that, people, right? Why would you do that? And then B, why the fuck is everybody acting like a child? Why can't they just communicate better? Kat says it does sound like a husband and wife. I certainly fucking hope not.
7:26:24 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, nope, my shower only got lukewarm and now my sink won't run hot at all. The plumber I used to use is right down the road. 7:26:27 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I turned that temp thing in the basement all the way up. 7:26:52 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, check the hot water heater and see if it's leaking. 7:26:52 p.m. on the 28th. The defendant to John O'Keefe.
The defense could have objected there because it's not his fault, right? But you're supposed to read these verbatim, and he's doing a great job of not adding any. But he added hot water heater and just says check the water heater. But anyway, they could have objected, but there's no reason to. I'm just pointing it out.
Check the hot water heater and see if it's leaking. 7:26:52 p.m. on the 28th. The defendant to John O'Keefe, it's not. 7:26:59 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, don't do that. 7:20.
That's in reference to the turning the thing all the way up.
7:01 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, is the pilot lit? 7:27:08 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I was trying to get my shower hot. 7:27:12 p.m. on the 28th.
Yeah, I'm one of those people. I love a hot shower personally.
From the defendant to John O'Keefe, yes. 7:27:14 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, don't turn it up. Don't turn it all the way up. 7:27:26 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, it will burn out. 7:27:32 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I had this issue twice before and it wasn't a disaster. I just can't remember what the cause was. 7:27:41 on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, just turn it back to where it was and get over here. 7:28:08 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I don't want to come home in a blizzard and then really be up shit creek. 7:28:53 p.m. on the 28th.
So now she's giving. Remember, her initial thing as to why she can't come over. So he wants her to come over, and remember her thing before was, well, it was all about the kids, right? I can't come over because the kids. Well, he's like, well, the kids aren't around. So now it's like, I can't come because there's a blizzard and hot water, and this is like, when in my mind, what she really wants for him so that she can come over is an apology. And again, that all goes back to her first message. Her first message said it all. She was like, I don't want to be a loser and come over after what you said. That's why this is just craziness to me. The thing is like, I hope not to that as well, Kat. Kat says it's newish couple for me. Here's what I would say. This entire series of text messages, to me, it just looks like people who are just not saying what they really feel and are not communicating.
John O'Keefe to the defendant.
Instead, it's just it's like nothing good comes from this, people.
So you're going home tonight, 7:29:18 p.m. on the 28th. And the defendant to John O'Keefe, or tomorrow or whenever. I've had a chill all day since my new shower. 7:29:45 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, it's going to snow all day tomorrow. No driving. 7:30:05 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, we're headed to McCarthy's. 7:41:29 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, okay, let me know if you end up leaving. 7:41:57 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, why? Now you're not coming. 7:42:27 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I'm waiting for the plumber. I actually think he's in the driveway. 7:42:56 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, we're taking Mike's car, so I'm relying on you for a ride home if he leaves.
That's interesting. We're taking Mike's car, so I'm relying on you for a ride home if he leaves. Huh. And I remember thinking this was interesting last time as well. Like, why isn't he driving? Twiz. Heather told me she met Karen Reed in the bathroom and told her what to text. That is hilarious.
7:43:10 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, he's not going home after. 7:43:27 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, 8 o'clock on a Friday, emoji. 7:43:31 p.m.
I love that He just says emoji. He just doesn't give a fuck. Dude, it's really funny.
Yeah, on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant. You may have to get Michael, 7:43:46 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant. You have a plumber coming over at 8, knowing me and Papa could have handled it. Good luck. 7:44:36 p.m.
So again, not recommended behavior here, right? I mean, clearly he's really upset about this plumber thing. What's the word? I think potentially he could be one of those people that feels emasculated because he could have done the plumbing thing and she hired somebody or whatever instead. Again, childish, sad, whatever, like why, oh, why can, I don't know. I just, this whole thing is preventable.
From the defendant to John O'Keefe. I have always told you I will not put either of you out of your way the way everyone else in your life does. I knew it wasn't working right when you were at the doctor's with Kaylee, and I knew neither of you could get here. And this guy, Richie,
All right,
fixed it.
Read on this. There's literally no need for her to have to justify having a plumber come over to fix her shit. There's just no need. This is interesting to me. Like, he shouldn't be upset about it. She had a plumber, fine. The fact that she's having to feel like she has to explain it is interesting. She shouldn't have to explain this. Just saying.
Well, last time, whatever it was, he was supposed to be here at 7:48:01 p.m. on the 28th. From the defense of John O'Keefe, if it's not a quick fix, I'll tell him to forget it. 7:48:20 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, if you need a new water heater, don't let him do it. 7:55:04
to fix the plumbing thing, it seems like to me.
p.m. on the 28th. The defendant is from the defendant to John O'Keefe. He's here now. If it's not quick, I'm not doing it. I just want to make sure nothing is wrong / will go wrong with when I'm not.
He doesn't ever say emoji. He just says it's an emoji. It's, the jurors can make their own interpretation as to what the emojis mean. He's not going to read into it.
Home. 7:55:44 on the 28th. From the defendant, John O'Keefe. He's not a scammer. Half the quick stuff he doesn't even charge me for. 7:56:06 p.m. on the 28th.
Sorry.
From the defendant, John O'Keefe. He just put the toilet seats on crooked. 7:56:28 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe, the defendant, status 8:09:02 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, still here with an emoji. 8:09:18 p.m. on the 28th.
Fuck if I know. I'm with you. How are these relevant? I know. I have no idea.
From the defendant to John O'Keefe, said he's got to go to HD and probably be back mañana. 8:23:56 p.m. on the 28th.
Mañana.
John O'Keefe
to HD Home Depot. He's got to go Home Depot. A bit pricey. Should go to Lowe's instead.
Defendant, so 8:24:43 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, an emoji, 8:25.
Oh, remember what I said earlier that I figure out that emoji? This is the moment. This is it. Okay. Earlier when the emoji from the previous, it didn't show up like an emoji, it showed up and it looked like a female sign. This is me. And I said it. Oh, I'll figure it out. This is it. It's because it's a shrugging sign, but you know how you can do the shrugging person and you can make it a girl or a boy or whatever. There's different options. This is the female shrugging emoji, but earlier, for whatever reason, with Celebrate or whatever, it didn't process it as a picture. It processed it as a symbol. That's what it was. So we know now the earlier one is the same emoji as this. It's the shrugging emoji. So she's shrugging in response to this. So, and then she shrugs. Mother of God.
5:02 p.m. on the 28th.
I don't know, Twiz. Watch all the workers.
From the defendant to John O'Keefe, just trying to figure out if I need to be here. 8:25:51 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, what does it need? 8:26:01 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I don't know. You showed me some pieces that was all rusted. An emoji. I don't understand half this stuff. 8:26:42 p.m. on the 28th.
He goes, an emoji. It's a shrugging
John O'Keefe
emoji.
to the defendant on the water heater. 8:26:59 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, yes. 8:27:08 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, tell him to.
Dude, it's sad. It's sad. I don't understand it. It's like he definitely wants to be the dude to fix the plumbing shit. I don't get it.
Leave it. I'll take care of it Sunday or Monday. 8:28:30 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, no, it's okay. I can either meet him here or just shut off the alarm. 8:28:52 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, he used to work here while I was at work. 8:29:02 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, does he realize it will be whiteout conditions tomorrow a.m.? 8:29:32 p.m. on the 28th.
Of course.
From the defendant to John O'Keefe. Yeah, but he lives right down the road.
Oh, Kat. Oh, interesting. You didn't get it till I put it like that. Yeah. No, that's definitely what's going on. Again, last year we went way deep into these. Again, we had Fender with us for some of it. We did like multiple live streams on these text messages. But then the video that I've been referencing is a video where I literally just go through and read them because I have the entire exhibit for that. And it's clear when you have all the context what like, and again, there's more that are coming in this time than last time. A lot of these didn't come in last time. Again, for Twiz's question about the relevance, I have no idea. But again, they had another think about it and more are coming in versus last year. I love the ninja emoji. I use it all the time, Twiz, the ninja emoji. Because I oftentimes pair it with the squirrel. I do like a situation like this, you know. Hi-ya, because I do like the squirrely karate chops. Cha. Like if people are being mean to people that like my friends, like from like any of you guys, like for example, if I was ever in a chat and people were being like dumb or whatever to any of y'all, I would be doing this like cha, hi-ya. They're gonna get squirrely karate chopped, you know.
The road. 8:29:47 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant. Karen, this storm is going to be intense. Can't drive. 8:30:19 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe. Okay, well, if he can't, he can't. 8:30:36 p.m. on the 28th.
So now they're speculating about the plumber's ability to drive in the snow. It's just really silly. You can't see black on black. What does that even mean, Twiz? Is it because you're in night mode? Night man. Oh, sorry. Day man. Oh, fighter of the night man. Like night mode.
John O'Keefe to the defendant. I'll do it Monday. 8:30:56 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe. I better not still have this problem on Monday. 8:31:22 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant. You plan on being there. 8:31:43 p.m. on the 28th.
So I don't ever use night mode, but I'm surprised they don't have it fixed to where you can still see the emojis. Like I would have thought they would have had a way. Oh,
From the defendant to John O'Keefe.
We got your back.
I too know I can take a hot shower here if I need to. 8:30.
So many messages about this shower thing. Oh yeah, this part's important. Hold on. Let me.
On the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant. I'll do it Monday. 8:30.
I'll do it Monday. He's just like, I'm doing your plumbing.
56 p.m. on the 28th. From the
I better not still have this
defendant to John O'Keefe. I better not still have this problem on Monday. 8:31:22 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant.
Now, this is where he's trying to figure out her plans. You plan on being there. He's still trying to figure out if she's coming over. You plan on being there.
You plan on being there.
Because he wants her to come for the weekend. He's saying it's going to be a blizzard. You can't go anywhere. I mean, I think you guys, we can all figure out what he's thinking the plan will be if they're snowed in.
1:43 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe. I too know I can take a hot shower here if I need to. 8:32:14 p.m. on the 28th. Figured you'd be, from John O'Keefe to the defendant. Figured you'd be in Canton until Monday. 8:32
As in with him.
32 p.m. on the 28th.
Yes, correct. Now
From John O'Keefe
she's
to
like, I want an apology before. Like that's literally what all this is she's like, I want an apology because he said something that hurt her feelings. Now, what that thing is, we don't know. It seems like it was in person, and it seemed like my interpretation based on what we know is like they had a little spat about her spoiling the kids, and it seems like that was the thing that started all this, which is crazy because spoiling the kids is like not a big like in the grand scheme of things, right? And it's like look at how this conversation all in one it's a period of like a couple hours has gone to like they're gonna break up and all this, and it's like what is going on, like what? But it seems like that hurt her, whatever it was he said, hurt her feelings. And like, that's what all this is fucking stemming from. Oh, God. Just.
The defendant.
Why can't they just make up and just get it on?
I'm getting off my phone. Let me know what you're doing. 8:32:54 p.m. From the defendant to John O'Keefe. I think the four of us together is toxic to this relationship. Would like to limit it. 8:33:16 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe. You said so yourself for probably a year now. 8:33:52 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant. Blizzard tomorrow. Nobody is going.
Plumber? What do you mean, Twiz? A different plumber. She's got her own plumber, and he's like, I want to do it myself. That's what it is.
The defendant. Figured you'd be in Canton until Monday. 8:32:32 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant. I'm getting off my phone. Let me know what you're doing. 8:32:54 p.m. From the defendant to John O'Keefe. I think the four of us together is toxic to this relationship. Would like to limit it. 8:33:16 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, you said so yourself for probably a year now. 8:33:52 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, blizzard tomorrow. Nobody is going anywhere. 8:33:56 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, maybe I'll come back late tonight. Bad snow is in the early a.m. 8:35:14 p.m. on the 28th.
Twiz, do you mean like speaking in code? I don't know. It's like that's the last thing these people need to be doing. Like they need to just be honest and just talk like adults.
From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I'll head up there in a few minutes. Let me know.
Frustrating, right? It is actually really sad when you think about it because this whole thing is so dumb. And you know, the fact that his last moments alive, right? I mean, it seems like they were lovey-dovey right beforehand, but anyway, this is how they spent their whole day. And none of this had to be happening. It could have all been good stuff, you know?
If you leave, 8:35:26 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, an emoji, he says, sure. 8:35:34 p.m. on the 28th. And that was the last of them.
Yeah, I know, right? Thank you for
You
that.
can feel free to stand.
Okay, thank you, Mary.
Again, I'll link the video where I read the full exhibit. I'll link that in this video's description too for anyone that wants to see the full exhibit. It's not long because basically we talked about these a lot on the live stream, but in the full exhibit, it's just a video. It's not a live stream, so it's literally just me reading through the full exhibit of all of the text messages. I think it's like 37 minutes. I'll put it in the I'll put a link to it so that way in case anyone wants to see the full text messages, you can see it.
So that presentation is a compilation of text messages and phone calls between John O'Keefe and the defendant on January 28th, 2022.
Yes, that was.
Aside from that compilation, are there other text messages and phone calls that you've reviewed between?
Also, sorry. Also, what I will do is I'll also put it in the Discord in the Karen Reed thread too.
John O'Keefe and the defendant that evening, January 28, 2002, going into past midnight, January 29, 2022.
Yes, there's more text messages.
And those text messages and phone calls, are they a separate compilation from this?
Yes, that's correct.
At this time, I'd ask us to release Trooper Guarino and recall him at a later date.
Yes. All right. There's no objection, Mr. Alessi, correct?
No objection, subject to prevent.
Yes. All right. Thank you very much, Trooper. We'll see you another time.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Is this the time for me to see counsel at sidebar? Okay.
We're actually almost done with the day here, so they go to sidebar, I think.
Thank you.
Now here's the big thing. These clips. This is the whole thing. Okay.
With the court permission, could I begin with clip 7?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just pausing this real quick. So, right, it's not right, exactly, Kat. It's exactly perfect for this. That's exactly the thing. Okay, so here's the clips that she's letting in. So they had been talking about these previously. All right, this is big. I haven't actually seen these yet, but this is what I know a lot of people have been talking about. So.
When you walked out of the bar, how many drinks had you had?
I had probably about 4, and not 4 that I completed either. I didn't drink maybe more than a few sips at the Waterfall.
And 4 drinks you felt fine to drive?
Yep.
Clip 8, please.
Okay.
And is the level of intoxication pretty high here for everybody?
It's happy.
Yeah.
It's
You had a lot to drink, right?
I wouldn't say I have like a normal amount. Let's say like a vodka tonic every 40 minutes.
Okay. And so are you feeling like buzzed? And I'm not judging, I'm just trying to get a
Yeah,
sense.
buzzed.
Yeah.
Clip 9, please.
The final count summers. The final count of my alcohol intakes, probably about 5 or 6 or 4. The drinks that they were pouring me at McCarthy's, which is where I consumed most of the alcohol, was the weakest vodka tonic. It tasted just like old soda water with lime. Not that I need it to be a martini, but it might have had a splash of vodka in it. So I said, John, this drink tastes like it has no vodka in it. He said, just get a shot and mix it yourself. So each drink was being counted as a double. So I would get a vodka tonic and then I would pour a shot into it. So that would count as 2. But frankly, it just felt like a regular cocktail. It was just a really weak pour. So I asked for a shot.
I'm sorry, but that's crazy. So you're paying twice the price for the same amount of drink? This is not, I just have to say, I just would never be this person who would just like spend double the money because they did a shitty job. Like, okay, I'm not saying what she's saying isn't true at all, obviously. But what I am saying is this: look, if they poured you a drink, and I've worked in restaurants, man. If they poured a drink and it's not up to snuff, like, well, the other thing is this. Let me back up. Other thing is this: it's actually bartenders are trained so that this never happens, so that it's always equal amounts every time. And here's why: because the ABC board, right, the alcohol board, and it varies by the state what they call them, but here it's the ABC board. They can come in and they come in and they do unannounced, right, and they are in costumes, whatever, you know what I mean? You don't know that they're coming in, and like it's a huge deal because you have to make sure that like you don't over pour, right? Now you can under pour, but the only way to ensure that you aren't over pouring is to make sure that you're measuring them all exactly the same. Because if it's possible for you to serve too little, then it's also possible for you to serve too much. And then literally you can go to jail. The implications are huge when it comes to alcohol. That's why I keep talking about how crazy it is that they just walk out with their drinks. In North Carolina, that would never happen. Like I'm not saying it's a bad thing or whatever. It's because of the laws, right? Like the liability on the restaurant is huge. There could be jail time. It's just insane. All this is with this drinking thing is insane with all my history of working in restaurants and stuff. Like I can't fathom any of this, but anyway, but barring all that, the fact that it's like, so let's just say that somehow it is a really weak pour, as she's calling it. You're just going to buy another shot, which usually the shots are like the same as the drink if you're just getting a mixer. So you're paying twice, you're paying double. Like what you should do is be like, hey, this, doesn't have an alcohol. Now, having said that, they probably have customers. Any bar is going to have customers that just say that when it's not true, and they're probably belligerent. But if you're like nice and you've been there before, and they probably know that then they might now they're going to have an answer for it. Like, oh, sorry, I forgot to measure it. I mean, I don't really know. I'm just saying this is all very crazy to me, and I don't know. What do you guys think? What would you do in this situation? Would you just pay the double? I guess she's rich. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe. So that's interesting. Who's not a drinker? I never send a drink or meal back ever. Interesting. Really? That's fascinating. Really? Why not? That's a thought, Twiz. If they go there often and like the bartender didn't want to like hurt their feelings, yeah, maybe. Yeah. But also if you're a regular somewhere, right? Like I remember when I was living in Boone, there were bars that we would go to, and it was like, it's so crazy, right? Like in a small town like that. Like we had these bars we'd go to, and like, dude, it was awesome, right? Because it's like, I would walk in the door and just even if it was like fucking packed, right? I would make eye contact. I would shout out to Sully, by the way. Sully was the dude, man, back in the day. And I would make eye contact with Sully over there. And he had like, 8 deep at the bar. I'd make eye contact with him. He would nod. And I knew he was already making my drink. Like, don't even have to exchange words. And like, by the time I can make my way up there, it's like, he's already made the drink. You know what I mean? And it's like, with somebody, if you're a regular, right? You could say, I think that this drink's not quite right. And it wouldn't be weird. It wouldn't be offensive because they know you. Regulars get the best service. Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, it seems like they were kind of regulars, right? I mean, but I don't know, this whole thing. I don't know. It's interesting. Let's just see.
5 or 6 or 4. The drinks that they were pouring me at McCarthy's, which is where I consumed most of the alcohol, was the weakest.
The other thing that's interesting is the odds are that if it's a weak pour, but all of them are weak pours, I have a thought. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm literally just thinking this through, having a lot of experience working in restaurants and stuff. Like I said, right? They make it so that you're trained as a bartender to always pour the same amount. it almost makes me wonder, like if they're weak, if one of them is weak, that's one thing. But if it's like all of them are, like she's explaining here, the only thing I can think of is they were doing that on purpose. And do you guys know why they might be doing that on purpose? Like, I hate to say that. It makes it just, I don't know. Again, just like talking about being a regular, right? If you're a regular at a bar, I mean, I've seen this type of shit before at places that I used to work at, like where there would be regulars who like, you know, if they don't, I don't know. I don't want to, I'm not saying anything about her. I'm just saying I've had experience where it's like this one customer comes in and it's like, you know, that they're going to get out of hand. And so you maybe, you know, maybe their drinks are a little bit lighter. I'm just saying. That's so cute. Where does Cat live again? Do you want to go? That's cute. You guys should go on a date. Love it. Party at Cat's place. Cat's in Virginia. So close to me, actually. Party at Cat's place. Woo! Squirrel party. Anyway, it's just if all of the drinks are weak and like you're not complaining and then you're buying shots on top of that. I don't know. It's just a very interesting thing. Let's keep this in mind. The Commonwealth wants the jury to hear this for some reason. Now, I don't know if the jury is going to be thinking it through the way that I am, right? I don't know. I think it probably depends on their experience. People that work in restaurants will definitely, if they have restaurant experience or bartending experience, they will interpret this and probably analyze it differently than other jurors who might just not pay that much attention to it. I mean, I would think the Commonwealth's probably really going after how much did she drink, right? Anyway, okay, let me just keep playing it.
The final count summers. The final count of my alcohol intakes, probably about 5 or 6 or 4. The drinks that they were pouring me at McCarthy's, which is where I consumed most of the alcohol, was the weakest vodka tonic. It tasted just like all soda water with lime.
Vodka tonic is great.
Not that I need it to be a martini, but it might have had a splash of vodka in it. So I said, John, this drink tastes like it has no vodka in it. He said, just get a shot and mix it yourself. So each drink was being counted as a double. So I would get a vodka tonic and then I would pour a shot into it. So that would count as 2. Frankly, it just felt like a regular cocktail. It was just a really weak pour. So I asked for a shot. So for my taste, it just tasted like that's the normal strength of what a drink should be. So I had
I can see doing it one time, but doing it for multiple drinks and having to continuously buy another, like I can get it if you don't want to be rude and if maybe you're not a regular there, okay, fine. But for doing like the amount of money this would cost, it's just crazy.
3 that are being counted as 4 and 6, and I don't know. I felt fine. I felt like I was buzzed. And then there was one drink, the last one that was given to me, which I would have counted as 3, but they're counting as my 6th cocktail. The guys that we were with brought around the shots, and they gave me one that I didn't drink, but I poured it in my drink. So that's now my 5th and 6th drinks with the 7th, which is a shot that all the men did, and I poured it. So that one glass that I'm holding, that I go into the Waterfall with, has 3 drinks in it, a vodka tonic and 2 shots. And which is why John said to me, you're not leaving that drink here, like you haven't touched it and just poured a bunch of vodka, like just take it with you, which was something he always did. So then I go into Waterfall and I put that drink down and I socialize most of the time. So that would have been like 5th, 6th, and 7th drinks. Then John orders me a drink at the Waterfall that I don't drink, that he takes with him. And then there was a round of shots that Chris Howard bought that I did take. So that would have been the night. But I did not consume 9 vodka martinis or take 9 shots, depending on how you count it. And the last 2 drinks, I didn't touch.
Twiz, I forget, Twiz, have you been to the East Coast before? I forget. I think you haven't. Or no, you've been to, where'd you go? You were in North Carolina, anyway.
I mean, I'm not as clear as I would be if I hadn't been drinking. I mean, I've had drinks, and that led me to question, like, could I have hit him? Did I run over his foot or hit him in the knee? Did I incapacitate him? I mean, I always drive with my music blasting ever since I was 16. And I know when John got out of the car to go into Fairview, I know my car was blasting because when I got in it the next morning, I go look for him, I had to immediately turn it down. And I don't know, it's stormy. I have had a few cocktails. I didn't black out, but I wasn't as lucid as I would have been if I had gone to bed at 9 and drank a tea. But
this one, I can see why they want this one in, because she's admitting to being somewhat impacted by the alcohol, right?
So I was fuzzier than I would have been if I had no alcohol.
Dude, I don't have any worry about the pores. I have questions. I'm really, this is gonna, like, I'm like, what's going on with those pores, man? Were they doing that on purpose? Were they just shitty? Was it somebody who was, maybe it was someone who was new? Were they in training? I have questions. And why does John, and she even said, John walked out of the bar all the time with his drink. What is happening? What?
How did you feel after that many minutes? When you got in the car, did you feel like you could drive, and did you feel how? I wouldn't have gotten on the expressway. I wouldn't have gotten on the expressway at 12:15 on January 29th. I mean, it was quiet. The roads were very quiet. You can see it on the videos. And I was going, you know, when I've had a few drinks and I drive, I always drive extra slow. So I know my alerts aren't as sharp as they should be.
This is crazy.
But I shouldn't have been driving.
And I have a few drinks and I drive like it's a regular thing. I mean, this is like my first thing is like that sounds so dangerous, but you can see why the Commonwealth is playing right. I mean, it's really kind of like makes her look bad in front of the jury, probably, right? Because it's like a regular thing. Now, having said that, everybody apparently in the entire town of Canton does this. None of them should be doing it, but unfortunately, she's the one who's on trial. It's unfortunate that that's what happened and that this is what's coming in. It's could have been prevented had she just not taken the interview, right? Let's just remember that part.
But I don't think I was driving. I know I wasn't driving recklessly. I mean, I've got plenty of video of myself driving all over the place. I put my car in John's garage, which is incredibly narrow, and I had a very oversized SUV. You see me. There's a video of me driving through the intersection when we leave Waterfall to go to Brian Albert's, and I was always taught by my father, even when you have a green light, you always should tap the brake. You don't know who's going to run red. And I see me doing that multiple times between 12 and 1 and 5 and 6 a.m. So I know I was driving safely. Not
the brake. I don't understand that one. Why don't you just not? I don't get it.
as safely or as alert as I would be if I.
No kidding.
I was not driving recklessly by any measure.
Thank you. Your may we approach?
Yes.
All right, we are almost at the end here, guys. So what happens, I believe, is they don't have another witness ready, which is crazy, and then everyone goes home.
All right, jurors, there was some confusion with counsel regarding witnesses. So those are the witnesses for today, so we're done for today. Counsel assures me that won't happen again, but more importantly, we're on schedule, not going for the rest of the day, won't interfere with our schedule at all. Looks like it's, I can't tell with all the curtains here, but it looks like it's a beautiful day. You'll have a nice afternoon. Tomorrow we'll be going on a view.
Jury
with
view.
that, we're comfortable clothes. We'll be walking around a little bit. We'll be going by bus, and I'll have more instructions for you tomorrow morning. But please follow those instructions. Do not discuss this case with anyone. Don't do any independent research or investigation into this case. If you happen to see, hear, read anything about this case, please disregard it and let us know. And we'll see you tomorrow morning. Remember,
Now, tomorrow was initially going to be voir dire day. I'm trying to remember what they decided. It sounded like they ended up just saying they were still going to do some voir dire, but they didn't have Dr. Wolf, but they're going to do other. It'll be, I have no idea. We'll see what happens. They're going to have a jury view. I can't even remember what she decided about the vehicles or whatever, but I don't know that she made a written order on that. Or she even, maybe we'll find out. So they're going to have the jury view, and then we will see what fucking happens. Again, it was supposed to be a half day for the jury, but that doesn't necessarily mean it could be, it seemed like initially she wanted to go all day and do voir dire. So I have no idea what to expect, but we will, of course, be on. Let me just see if there's anything else here. Got it? There we go. Maybe we'll find out more information.
Jury's exit the courtroom.
All right. Mr. Brennan, have you had an opportunity to think about whether experts should be permitted to either be present or watch the proceeding? And I also want to know, are you expecting to put on any expert testimony tomorrow?
Dr. Fowler will testify tomorrow. I think that should be considered expert testimony. He provides the procedures and protocol for the testing of blood serum.
Okay.
So I think he's technically considered an expert, although one of the briefer ones.
All right. Does the defense want an expert to be able to watch that? All right. So I know we've had a lot going on this morning. Do you want to address this tomorrow? When do you want to address whether experts should be present?
I can address it tomorrow morning. I can consider.
All right. We'll do that. And have you talked about
who you all mean? Like, do you all know who you want to have exempt from the sequestration order?
We haven't got to that detail. I'm sure they have in mind who they want. I haven't gotten to that point yet.
All
We
right.
can have that discussion so that we can present tomorrow what my position is and address the court on the witnesses.
Sure, we can do that.
We
And
can
then I
have-
know you said that you've got an agreement that you'll be
Hill, hold on. What?
able to watch that. All right. So I know we've had a lot going on this morning. Do you want to address this tomorrow? When do you want to address whether experts should be present?
I can address it tomorrow morning. I can
All
consider.
right, we'll do that. And have you talked about who you all mean? Like, do you all know who you want to have exempt from the sequestration order?
We haven't got to that detail. I'm sure they have in mind who they want. I haven't gotten to that point yet.
All
We
right.
can have that discussion so that we can present tomorrow what my position is and
Okay.
address the court on the witnesses.
Sure, we can do that. And then I know you said that you've got an agreement that you'll provide witnesses or a list of witnesses in advance to defense counsel, and I'm sure you'll provide witnesses in advance to Mr. Brennan. Include me on that, please. I just like to know
Very
who's
well.
coming up the next day because I have to prepare as well.
Happy to. Thank you.
Okay? All right, so we'll see you tomorrow morning.
Thank you again.
It's frustrating. Like literally, they don't explain tomorrow morning. Wait, so is the jury view after that? Like, dude, it's just frustrating for the scheduling purposes. So we don't know. There you have it. So Kat's asking about the Brennan. I did cover it. It was the I don't think I have the document anymore, but it was the it was his motion to try to continue the fucking trial date, like on the eve of trial. So I covered that on if you go to day one, there's 2 live streams from day one. And I believe that's where I have it. And it would be on the second one. Pretty sure that's where it is. It's either that one or day 2. I can look real quick and see. And what we're going to do here now, guys, if anyone is still down, we can go to the Discord and watch Lori's interview about the verdict. Let me just look real quick. Real quick here. If it is, let me see, day 1. Look at this is why I love my timestamps here. Yep. Okay. If you go to the day 1 recap, it's called. It's timestamped at 7 minutes and 30 seconds is where I covered it. That's where it is. So it's the day one recap time. It's timestamped. But it's at 7 minutes and 30 seconds. That's where you can find that. And anyone else who missed it, that's where you can find that. But is anybody still down? Does anybody still want to go and watch in the Discord, watch Lori's oh, I forgot I was going to cover this Turtle Boy. Let me just see. Well, I don't know that this is really all that necessary. Actually, I'm not going to worry about it. It's just about him wanting to be able to attend the trial for the certain witnesses. Yeah, I'm not going to worry about that because especially because it's an intervener, so it is related to Karen Reed. But I mean, I've not been covering obviously his own personal, like his own witness thing. But I'll hang on to it in case anybody does want to go over it. But it's not that. It's not going to affect Karen's trial for her, right? I mean, so that's the thing. So I'll just hang on to that. The other thing I want to do is by the time we get done with tomorrow, I've got saved the elements for each of the charges. And what I want to take a look at as we finish the first week, how is the Commonwealth doing at meeting those? So like if you're on the jury, what evidence has the Commonwealth brought forth by the end of week 1 to prove the crimes as she's been charged? So we will do that as well. So I'm not seeing if anybody wants to do, I guess I'll go ahead and jump in the Discord in case anybody does want to watch. And then if no one shows up, we'll just do it another time. But yeah, the Lori Vallow interview. So, and then again, tomorrow we will have that chat. How did they do after the end of week 1? Also tomorrow we will be covering we'll be watching the juror interviews from Lori's case. And then also we're going to cover BK, the other orders that have come out. And maybe we'll get some other new things as well. But okay, that'll be it for this one, guys. Love y'all. Thanks for being here. And squirrel out.